All right. All right. Oh, my throat had to clear my throat. All right, everyone. Good evening. Is this thing on? I feel like doing one of those hit the mic. Is this on? Is this thing on? Good evening, everyone. It is Friday, and we are back again. I see Brother Calvin will be finishing cooking. Nothing wrong with that. Eating is a wonderful thing. I already ate my supper, so that went well. I hope you enjoy your food. Um, oh, good evening, Brother Jorge. Hope you're doing all right. Hope everything's good in your neck of the woods. Um, Boy, you guys, we didn't talk too much about it, but y'all got pretty hit bad. That's not even real English. You guys got hit pretty good up there. Somebody was saying almost 4 feet of snow. I thought it was over 3 feet of snow. The only way I knew realized you had snow because where I work, some trucks were canceled because they were going into that area, and the brokers were out of that area over in Springfield, Mass. And when I saw they weren't able to make it because of inclement weather, I'm like, inclement weather? And then I got a hold of Brother Jorge and said, hey, how's the weather up there? And then he told me, and then I looked at the news and then realized, oh, wow, you guys got hit pretty good. I don't know what the last tallies were up there, but I know y'all got hit pretty good. You got hit pretty good when I believe Trump mentioned it in the State of the Union address. I think he actually said something about the Democrats not releasing money to shovel or plow roads or something. I forget what he said, but that's how I realized, wow, it must have been pretty bad up there. So I'm glad Brother Jorge was able to either shovel himself, well, that'd be a lot of shoveling, snow blow himself out of there. I remember when we moved down here from up there, I said to someone, I said, the most expensive thing in the garage that I wish we never used and I hope we never used was the snowblower. However, we did use that snowblower because, well, you live in New England and you're going to need it. I was in southern New England at that time because I was living in Connecticut. Of course, before Connecticut, I lived up in Massachusetts. Such a wonderful and beautiful state. Not really. There are fine people up there, but man, no, I'm not. If I ever go back, it'll probably be on vacation. My wife and I were just talking about that. We would probably go up to to the Cape Cod, or up to Maine or something like that, where the weather is decent. We did not get 4 feet of snow. I think it was 8 to 10 inches, but my southern wall was blown up halfway up the door. It was windy. Yeah, so but I'm guessing that when they say 3 to 4 feet, are they talking over a 2 week span? Because I know you got pretty I mean, Massachusetts have a state of emergency. I can't remember the last time they had a state of emergency. I remember I gotta be like 18 years old at that time, 17 or 18, right in that area. I was a delivery driver for Pizza Hut. Pizza Hut at that time was located at the Searstown Mall. Now it's called, I believe, the Whitney Carriage Mall, and that and where the Pizza Hut is now where the a Dairy Queen, I believe, is now. So I believe there's a Dairy Queen where the old Pizza Hut was. I remember driving by there, and my brother would tell me, he goes, hey, I put the roof on there. I built that. So my brother's construction company at that time, Solid Rock Construction, way back, they put the roof on top of that Pizza Hut. But you're talking 30 plus years ago. So, yeah. I remember that Pizza Hut. I love the red glasses from Pizza Hut. I don't know why I enjoyed those. I think Mass got it worse than we did. It was worse at my house compared to further up north. Yeah, I mean, that's what I hear. They got hit pretty well. If they got to do a state of emergency up there, but I don't know how bad it was for everybody. I have no idea. Solid Rock Construction is a good name. Yeah, that is a pretty good name. He was a partner or a minority partner or whatever with another guy, and I can't remember his name. I can see his face, but I can't remember his name. Was it Gilchrist? It might have been Gilchrist. I'm not sure if his last name was Gilchrist. I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, they were members of the Fitchburg Assembly of Gods at that time, because everybody we knew belonged to the Assembly of God. We didn't associate with anybody outside of the Assembly of God. If our family knew your family, then that means your family was at the Assemblies of God, the Fitchburg Assemblies of God. And then when that broke up, there was a lot of controversy at that time. I remember my father, I think, was excommunicated from there. But a lot of kind of stuff going on, scandals, which led to that guy, Reverend Grant, that you've heard me mention before. That joker. But yeah, I wonder if churches are still like that today. I don't know. Are they still like that? Like they only associate with themselves within that church and or that particular location, nobody else. I wonder if that's still a thing these days. But I do remember the only people we knew went to that church. We didn't know anybody outside of that church. I wonder if that would be considered cult-like. But yeah, Solid Rock Construction is a good name. I think that's a pretty cool name. I hope the name of I was gonna say my company, but it's our company, my wife and I, that we're gonna get started, which we'll be getting that started, I think, a lot sooner than we thought we would. It would appear God has been opening the doors. I'm trying to not be biased. You know how you want something so bad that you said, oh yeah, definitely, this is what God wants me to do. Sometimes we have to step back and try to look at it from the point of view, or not a point of view, just let God work. And if doors open, they open. They don't, they don't. But it appears at the moment things have been falling into place, and a little piece at a time. So we hope to be up and running in a few months, and we'll see how that goes. And I hope the name we picked works out. We prayed on that. I think that was last night. Yeah, we're praying on that last night for the name, and that we come up with a good one. So we'll see what happens. I'm excited for it. Gets me back out on the road, and I need to be moving. I need to be going somewhere, doing something. I'm not one to be stuck inside a lot. Being stuck inside is like a jail cell to me. I have trouble with it. And to get out there, we'll see if this company grows enough. Lord willing, it will. But it'll grow to whatever God decides. But I think it's meant to be, because we've had quite the shakeup where I work. A lot of people are dropping like flies. I don't mean like death, like having COVID, but yeah, a lot of people. Where I work, my department, 48% of the department has been cut, let go. They're not in that department anymore. Came in today, and we found out that the overnight shift that works in a different part of the plant, like half that crew's gone. They're just gone. So it's quite interesting. So we'll see. I used to work for Rock Solid. Get out of here, really? That's wild, actually. That's wow. It wasn't up in New England, was it? Maybe they changed the name from Solid Rock to Rock Solid. Yikes. That's pretty cool. That's a weird coincidence. Wow. Other than that, good evening, Brother Christopher. How are you tonight? I'm glad you're here this evening. Glad to have you aboard. Yeah, that's exactly what we decided. Yes, name change to Petra Construction. Wow. Well, it could be Petra, like, the location or the band. Of course, the band was named after the location, but that's something. Good evening. You were promoted by default. No, I wasn't promoted. Nobody was promoted. Everybody's been not promoted. So that's not actually a thing. Christian ownership. Well, yeah, by those names, it makes sense. Definitely makes sense. No, yeah, I wasn't promoted. In fact, this started happening about a month ago, I think, probably roughly a month ago, maybe a little, actually, no, a little more than a month ago. I'm trying to think of when, definitely within the last couple months, I think. The my boss, well, there's a lead above me, and then there's a boss above him, and then there's another boss, and then that boss reports to the big boss. But my two bosses up, he was let go because he makes too much money, supposedly, so they cut his position. So he was let go, and a lot of people were let go. And then we had, I'm going to get to something about self-sufficiency in a second. And then he was let go, and then somebody else was put in the spot, but then they were taking on something else, and other people were let go. And pretty much, I would have to say half the place that I work is gone. It's just gone. They're gone. But at the same time, they also talk about promoting, or not promoting, how much bigger they're going to get. They're going to be much busier down the road. And that could be, and here's where I figured out, you got a couple of things going on. One, they're going to end up hiring only temps, just run pretty much the whole company by temps, because anybody making too much money, they're going to get rid of out the door. So you got that going on, and you got people who don't know what's going on that are replacing. I'll give you an example. There's a guy last night, I guess he's been working there 3 months, and just replaced a guy who's been there for 2 years. They got rid of the guy who's been there for 2 years because he made the third tier level of pay. So he's on that last tier level of making money, and so he's got to go. And that other person who just started making no money has been brought and promoted. And I'm getting somewhere with this, I promise. It's not about just me, but it's about, I think, all of us, if we can get ourselves in the same position eventually. But that's going to happen. They're going to do all temps, and they're also bringing in automation. So they got a couple new machines that they'll be installing that are basically going to be running off of, robot arms. So 2 of those lines that people worked on, now you'll have robot arms, which is funny to me because this is a company. It's about sustainability, is what their whole thing is. They take switchgrass and all that, and they use that and recycle. It's all about people on the earth, but you're going to replace them with robots. I mean, the irony of that, the hypocrisy, whatever words you're looking for, is amazing. And this is what leads me into self-sufficiency. I think anytime that we can figure out self-sufficiency in our life in general, one is just to not have bills, obviously, as little as we possibly can. But we talked about growing off the land or having food that you can maintain. Or, I mean, we have wheat berries that we grind and we make our own flour. So we've been very blessed in that way. But and we've always thought about that food-wise self-sustainability, but working as well. So opening up this transportation company, this trucking company, which I do hope that it grows and I'm able to have a business and hire Christian men to be drivers, which would be really awesome if God opens that door to give jobs to good, solid, godly men out there. That'd be fantastic. But and when self-sustainable or I can't get the word, self-sufficiency is not about, it's not just taking money from the government. And I am going to harp on this all the time. And I'll be doing something about that in the future. I'm putting some stuff together in some separate notes that I'll be really diving into that. When you're relying on the government or handouts from others, people are propping you up. Are you self-sustaining yourself? And I will say the same thing. If you got a congregation of people who all donate like $50, and to help you live, what happens when those people don't have that $50 and you've been relying on that money, you are not sustainable. You're not self-sufficient. You're not counting on yourself and God more than yourself, but you're relying on others. And I've heard men say, oh, if that happens, I'll be fine on my own. Really? Because for 30 years you haven't been, because you've been relying on others. And that's a huge problem. And I'm going to get to that down. I got a bigger study going on. I've been working on the side. I have 900 things going on the side. So for me, opening this company up it's now also self-sustaining my family and myself, because if let's say I got laid off tomorrow, if I walk in tomorrow and they say, you know what, Stephen, we don't need you anymore. We're cutting you as well. We're moving things around. You make too much money, which is kind of funny because I don't. We're moving this and moving that. Now I'm out of a job, right? So being self-sufficient and owning my own business, and when I drive truck, if I'm driving straight truck and I'm going to get loads, I may get a $500 load, a $300, a $200, but I'll always get a load. See, I'll always be able to get something, move something, deliver something. And anytime you could be self-sufficient, it doesn't have to be that. You could be just making things. Maybe you're making artwork of some sort, like the Amish people do with chairs. You know, in every way, shape, or form, we have to figure out a way that we can slowly become self-sufficient. I love the people who talk about self-sufficiency, but it's because of everybody else's money that they are self-sufficient. That's not self-sufficient. It's you going and get it yourself. Now, I'm not saying you can't have donations or anything like that. That's not what I'm saying. But what are they going to do when that well runs dry? Because it will. Look around the country. You know how many little churches have shut down over the years, or other churches merged into another church, and those people, that pastor's not a pastor anymore, or that preacher's not a preacher anymore. What happens then? So the more we are self-sufficient. So, and for me, I'm like, don't get fooled, not by just Christian people out there, but secular videos teaching self-sufficiency. You know, especially if they're on YouTube and they're making maybe $1,000 off of ads every month. They're not self-sufficient. They're making money off of that, or you're donating to them, or you know what I mean? They're not self-sufficient. So I advise people not, instead of watching those things, and they're nice to watch, but actually be self-sufficient. Be able to be your own bank, your own food provider, those things. And I know it's harder for some than others. So I always say those who have a tougher time out there, instead of giving money to these big ministries and all these people, give money or food or whatever you can do to those who are having problems making things happen, who are born again Christians. I'm not talking about just anybody. I mean, your brethren out there. You know, we need to in some way, because those of us who do have the ability to do so should be in some small way, if we can, help that brethren out in some way. We're not here to prop up organizations and giant ministries. That's not what we should be doing. We should be helping one another along the way. I side-tailed off a little bit where I wanted to talk about, but that's my thing of self-sufficient. And so when these things have been happening at my job, I'm like, yeah, this is more of a neon light. It's more of the writings on the wall, so to speak, that it's time. You know, I've been wanting to get back on the road, you know, go back to driving, but I wanted to go back on my own terms. It's what I love to do. It's who I am. Again, people always say they like driving until they actually have to drive. That's a whole different ballgame when you have to actually do it for a living. Are you still able to drive through Hartford? Are you still able to drive through New York? Can you drive through Boston, Worcester, go through Nashville, Knoxville, and it doesn't bother you, and you're fine with it. You know, it's like, oh, I'm running late type of thing, but it doesn't bother you. Then yeah, you're okay to drive. So, again, something I'm good at. You know, I'm not good at very many things, but that I can do. But we all have something we can do that I think we can somehow parlay that into being self-sufficient in some way. So, okay, I rambled on about that for a moment. I do think that middle management is at danger the most. Yeah, and quite honestly, my boss above the boss, he wasn't even middle management. There was the guy who sits in the office who controlled all of transportation operations, and the guy underneath him who was really the guy who went and did, scheduled all your trucks, scheduled all your meetings, scheduled your load, just all that. And they just felt he made too much money. Now it falls on to other people, and quite honestly, it's not going as smoothly. So that is a shame. Caves the company to use temps. Saves. Yeah, it does. There's less costs. You can sell them a little pipe dream of the fact they may qualify to come on permanent one day, but then they really don't. Or they can do assignments. It's a temporary assignment. Things of that nature. I think when you tell people that, they're willing to go work for a company. But yeah, you're going to see people running more on temps. You're robots and stuff like that. Automation. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to sneeze for 1 second. Thank you. Sorry about that. I apologize. I had to sneeze. But yeah, and you're getting rid of people. So you get the whole AI and robots and getting rid of humans. That's why whenever I do go into one of the big box stores like Walmart or anything like that, when I go to Lowe's now, I try to go to the other end of Lowe's, because on the lumber side of Lowe's, on that side, they still have actual people there. On the other side of my Lowe's, where the regular checkout stuff is, it's all self-checkout. There's no human being. So I don't use that. I go where a human being is, because I don't want to keep robots employed. I want to help keep people employed. I mean, to me, it seems like a no-brainer. But we'll see how things go. I did actually. I don't mind the Knoxville one closing. It is what it is. I'll probably try to get up there to see if I can get any more stuff out of the areas. Like I said, where was like that Westcott, the Westcott book I got there, that came out of the McKays down in Chattanooga. The 2 Spanish Bibles I had picked up, those came from the Knoxville one. So I got those out of the Knoxville McKays. So, but from my understanding, though, Chattanooga is still going to be running. So I will try my best. I think they close in May, correct? I'm pretty sure they close in May. If anybody who watches doesn't know what McKay's is, I just recently became aware of who they are. And they are a giant bookstore, but they sell DVDs and videos and musical instruments and video games and stuff like that. But they have a rather large, religious section, or Christianity, or Judaism, or Islam, or Hebrew, all different things. So they got a lot of stuff in there. So hopefully I will be getting in there as quick as possible. Only Knox is closing because they wanted to unionize. Oh, is that really why? I did not know that. I know that my wife saw it on the Facebook there, and she texted me about it, and someone at work was saying the same thing. I'm like, oh yeah, they're closing down. I'm like, oh wow, I didn't know that. So I didn't know why they were closing down. Somebody else told me that it was because their contract, their contract, or the land was changing hands, or ownership, the land or the building or something was changing financial hands. So I don't know, but they had a really great section of stuff. Again, that's where I got the 2 Spanish Bibles that I do have here. The RVR. What do I do with them? The RVR. Oh, these. Well, not this one. This one I ordered, but Reign of Valera 1960 King James, and the Reign of Valera ESV parallel Bibles I got up there. So, and they had a lot of other stuff. There are just so many things I could have spent thousands. Well, I don't have thousands to spend there, but it would cost a lot of money. But they have some good stuff, and hopefully, I'll be able to get in there. I'm not sure if it was Knox or if it was Chattanooga that had the Joseph Lightfoot book, which is one of the guys who was on the Westcott committee, Westcott and Hort committee. He was one of those guys. So I don't know if that book will be there, but I'm hoping to grab that. So we'll see. They had a lot of Greek stuff, a lot of they had no Textus Receptus. There was a lot of Torahs, a lot of Tanakhs, a lot of Jewish stuff, a lot of Jewish material, and a lot of Islam stuff. You know, the Quran and a lot of that, a lot of New Age stuff, Hinduism, Buddhism, a lot of that Far East stuff. They had a lot of that. They didn't have much when it came to Greek. I couldn't find any TRs, no Textus Receptus. I couldn't find any of that in there. I was hoping to maybe come across a reprint or a copy or something like that, but nothing. I found nothing of that. The closest thing I got was an interlinear Greek English New Testament I went ahead and picked up. But other than that, I mean, I got some other Greek, New Testament stuff, but they didn't have anything of that nature. So hopefully I'll be able to find some next time and see what happens on that. I don't know. That's what I'm hoping. A little stuffy today. I don't know. I don't know if it's the heat and the combination of cold. I'm gonna turn off this heat for a second. I'm gonna turn that off and see if I'm getting too much heat, maybe. But yeah, we'll see what happens. But anytime we cannot rely on those things, I think we need to be as self-sufficient as possible. If you're relying on everybody else, you're not self-sufficient. You're just not. I do have a problem with all of that. Oh, and by the way, I know Brother Emmett's not here at the moment. Brother Jorge is. I did order, before anybody asked. Brother Calvin might ask me too when he gets back from eating. I did order the 1602 Purificata. I did order it. So that should be, well, that'll come wherever it comes. Probably, my guess is in the next few days it'll show up. So I did get that the bilingual there, the King James to 1602. So I'm interested in that. So and apparently, Brother Emmett sent me a Facebook text, and I never got it. I never got a text. And I didn't realize you had the messenger there, the Facebook Instant Messenger. I thought that was automatically part of the Facebook, but apparently you have to download that, and I never download that. So I downloaded today, so that's downloaded. So I do apologize to him for that. If I do see him, next time I see him, I'll apologize for that. I didn't realize that I had to download that app to have it. But I see things. A lot of people. I don't know who watched the State of the Union. I don't usually talk politics. I used to be big into politics. If you know me long enough, you know that many years ago, I have a history of being involved in it. Almost ran for city council once. I've seen the backroom dealings firsthand, so I'm very familiar with it, and I followed it as a kid. Very into it. But I did watch the State of the Union. I'm not one of those MAGA people or anything like that. I'm not flying the Trump flag or anything like that. So I look at things from an objective point of view from this, I think there are obviously people who love Trump, others who hate Trump. They seem to be on both sides of the fence. I don't love Trump. I don't hate Trump. Neither one of those things. But I watched the State of the Union from an objective standpoint. Some of it was just like you would have to say. They always pander. All of state unions pander on both sides. It doesn't matter who's in there. They do kind of pick a group sometimes to pander to get their sympathies or votes. But I do believe, I will say that for the sake of argument, I want to say Trump is an unwitting pawn, right? So let's say he doesn't know that he's being used, some will say, "Oh no, he knows." Let's just for a second, because I like to speak about things objectively. We have what we're calling a national right and things of that nature, and Nazis, and that always bugs me. I'm like, okay, whatever. But there are always people behind the scenes who pull people into the directions of where they want them to go. Uh, Even if I want to agree with something Trump does or Trump doesn't do. We have to look at a bigger picture of the fact that none of it matters. At the end of the day, none of what Trump does, none of what anybody does that matters when it comes to salvation. If you are born again, you are saved. Okay, not being saved, saved. That's really important to understand. These things are going to play out the way they're going to play out. That is the most important thing. So it doesn't matter about your earthly, secular, or evangelical version of morality. The only morality you should be concerned about is if it lines up with the Bible. But if it doesn't line up with this Bible and you're not truly born again, you're not saved, you're not living for God. I don't mean the living for God like the Erica Kirk. I'll use her because that's the big. She's always in the name with all that kind of stuff. And Candace Owens. That's another thing. Let's look at. Let us look at this. You're seeing a lot of women leaders in the Christian realm, aren't you? So that's a big problem because there are people who believe in women should be witnesses. Women should be can be on the streets being this and that. Well, yeah, a lot of Christians, mainstream Christians, will agree with that. Absolutely, all day long. But we're seeing more women in these powerful positions that are are the antithesis of what the biblical world should be running. I don't want to. If people are going to bring up Diana, they're going to bring up Deborah, Priscilla, Aquila. Brother Jorge made a really good point about Deborah. He did some study on that. But we're seeing women because who was in charge of a lot of things? A lot of worship was what? Towards women. Women were put on a pedestal. I don't hate women. People are like, oh, that's just one of those crazy far right King James conspiracy guys. No, I've been in the conspiracy world. I know what that looks like. I've dealt with a lot of folks like that. But we're seeing a lot of that now. More than I can ever imagine seeing with the whose name I just said? What's that lady's name again? Erica Kirk, Candace Owens, and yes, we still can talk about the Paula Whites and all those ladies. A lot of that is more prevalent than it ever has been. There's a lot of worshiping towards this. Yet we can blame feminism for that. Sure, we can go back and deal with all that, or we can talk about the suffragettes and things of that nature. We're in a time frame, and it's a very bad one. And there are women, and here's an interesting thing in some of this Christian world. There are women I'm seeing saying men have to be men again. Okay, the reason that you have less men, well, you go through a lot of reasons, but men are less available because women still want to be this independent source without a man. They want to be ahead of something. They also want to be the face of something. So you have all of that going on. To me, it's like two different speeches, right? On the one hand, they're saying, and please don't misunderstand. This is not about bashing women. I'm just saying, yes, men need to be men again, but men aren't even we're had a hard time being allowed to say that they're men again, or they're blocked off your YouTubes and things of that nature. But then you have radicalist stuff going on with men who are very abusive to women or keeping them down. So there are women leaders trying to say that men should be leaders. Think about that. They still want to be leaders, though, but they want to be co-leaders. You're not co-leaders. It's not how that works. There's one head of the household, okay? But women are leaders in other ways, but mostly behind the scenes. And that's how I see it. And then, that I believe we'd have better. I think we would have better boys and girls growing up if they had better role models of mothers who are not trying to be leaders, but to be able to support their husbands, not financially, through any kind of government support. By the way, that happens too. There are women who get money from the government, then give them to the husband who's in the ministry. Go figure that one out. I don't understand that. That one just kind of blows my mind a little bit. Now, we're talking different reasons. I mean, if someone's crippled and disabled, people always say, what about this? What about that? And they always bring up these extreme situations. I'm talking about the norm, not the extremes. And they're just not, the dynamic has changed. And I'll say 60s, some will be 50s, and I'll even give you from World War II on. I'll give you from World War II on, after the World War II ended, or during World War II, a lot of things changed in that time frame. It was a complete shift in this country and around the world about independence and family dynamics and men and women in the household, and a lot of that was going on. And unfortunately, we are going back. There are a lot of young people wanting to go back to some sort of traditionalism, but they don't want to go all the way back. It's a cherry picking and a buffet table of the way it was, of the old days. Back in my day, old traditionalism, which is going to lead them into unbiblical Christianity, Christian style living and traditionalism, like Roman Catholicism or the Opus Dei or the Sedevacantist or the Eastern Orthodox. And it's a lot of, it's pushing, and that's a design by, I believe, a design by Satan, back into those false traditional things of the Pharisees and the Sanhedrin sect and all of that time frame. And that's where they want to get it back to. It may not look identical, but it will be the same philosophy, the same theology. Well, look at theology now. Everybody's adopting the same anti-biblical theologies that they call religious views or Christianity, and it's not that at all. We're there. And then some of the strongest advocates I see too, which is really sad for men, are guys who aren't even real Christians. That's the problem. Smoking cigars like that. I mean, I smoked cigars way, way back in the day, but these type of men. And so they're giving this view of what a man should look like, some strong man values. And I do think of that song from Petra, a fight, get on your knees and fight like a man. And it's talking about praying. That's what's missing. You can be a strong man. It doesn't have to be smoking cigars and knocking back shots or drinking bourbon or drinking whiskey. Who's that guy that finally got in trouble with all that? Oh my goodness, he was from overseas in Bulgaria, I think, or Turkey. Someone could tell me if they remember, but it turns out he was doing some other shady things behind the scenes. But there's this vision of a man is, I'm a man. I watch UFC fighting. Oh, yip-de-doo-dah. I have a very small background and training of Krav Maga, but I also have martial arts, and that means nothing. It means absolutely nothing. I'll say the same thing all the time. Your physical strength is the greatest weakness you have is your physical strength. Think about that for a moment, because your physical strength fades away. Even Arnold Schwarzenegger, they're not as strong as they once were unless they're being enhanced by drugs. But your heart doesn't get weaker, other than maybe its beats. Your faith doesn't, what I'm saying? Your spiritual strength is not spiritualism, New Ageism, or anything like that. That is your strength. Your faith in God, not your faith in you. That's the greatest strength that I have. That's it. The greatest weakness you can have is the strength. Now, that being said, doesn't mean we should just let ourselves go out of shape. This whole body doesn't profit anybody. I'm paraphrasing. that doesn't mean you shouldn't try to keep in shape. I'll tell you what, those guys back in the biblical times were in way better shape than I am, or we are. It wasn't because they're working out every day; they're walking miles. They're doing hard work out there. As they travel and they minister on the road, they're doing a lot of things. So and the food they ate was all natural. That's why we actually have ancient grains, they call them here, that we have, like einkorn and kumot and hard grain and all that kind of stuff, hard white and hard red. But they had all that, so they were in great shape. They weren't. I'm sorry, Southern Baptist preachers out there. They did not. They weren't knocking back a 10-piece of barbecued pork sandwiches. Or, I don't know, it's a 10-piece, but all that, they were not doing that. That's not how they ate back then. Oh, now you're talking about Levitical laws. No, I'm not talking about Levitical laws. I'm just talking about food was natural then. It was healthier. The reason you got gluten is because of all the junk that they spray on things. So not only were they stronger than us, their strength was levels higher than us, but so was their spiritualness. So it wasn't their, I keep using spiritualists without lacking the right word, but their godly behavior, who they are, and their walk with the Lord was way stronger than ours is sometimes. So they have a physical strength and a spiritual strength. They can fight, and they can fight. They can fight in prayer, and they can fight off what they have to do physically if they had to. I believe they were passive when needed to be, and I believe they were aggressive, or I should say, defended themselves when they had to. I find that something too. I think people don't like to preach these two things together, because they don't think they can coexist, or But when it comes to something that coexists, this is a real coexist, not the coexist of religions. But they're men who fight on their knees in prayer, and men, if need to, will fight for their family. And I would have to say Baptists are the most well known for this. They got guns and I care. I'm all about the Second Amendment. I'm Second Amendment. I'm in Second Amendment. You ain't gonna take my guns. Yeah, no, I'm with you, buddy. I believe you can have your rifles and all that. I do. I mean, I don't have any flags on my property to that degree. There's no, Donald Trump with a machine gun or an AK-47. And be careful what that's bringing in. You have the Vatican taking over everything. The Vatican is the Roman Catholic Church is here, and so are some of the old time Jewish folks as well. Feminism has become such a huge part of our society, yeah, that if one even mentions what the Bible says, what the role of a woman is, they're branded as hateful and misogynistic. Yeah, I agree. And I want to take this not even from mainstream. I think there are some people. I think there are women that are in the King James world who are falling for the same line, the same. And I think they're just getting wrong information. They want to have traditionalism. They want to someone would be considered dressing like Mennonites, right? Which my wife, I guess, would say is closer to dressing like a Mennonite, not, long jean skirts or long plain clothing of that nature. But we're not Amish or we're not Mennonite. But they want that. But then they want to be in charge of other things. They want to be in control of things too. They want to hold on to some of the traditional women values, they like to call. I like to stay with the word traditional values. And let's implement the word biblical values for women and men, but biblical values. because they're holding on to that, but they want some of this too. So they want some of that role, but they also want to be co. You can't. I don't believe in co-preachers and co-pastors. You can't be both up there preaching at the same time or pastoring at the same time. You just can't do that. That's not the way it's supposed to be. And a lack of better phrasing. Oh, this will get you me in a lot of trouble. Women are to remain silent. That'll give me. I had to say that because that'll just hit the algorithm. Like, what did he just say? See, he's all about keeping women down. No, women are, and I've said this before many times, women are amazing. Because without women, you don't have a great mother and a great wife. They don't exist. So I saw someone put what did they say on their Facebook? Princess and then helpmate next to their profile. What? You consider yourself a princess before you're a helpmate. What in the world? And that's what's going on. Women unfortunately want part of that spotlight. That's just not the way it works. And don't come at me with the whole Priscilla and Aquila thing. I'm not doing that again. Like I said, Brother Jorge had a really good take on Deborah. But women are amazing. Women, who do you think? A woman, a great mother is, in my opinion, a greater role model in some ways for children than a father is. Now, I know you say, oh, wait, I'm confused. Well, don't get confused. A father has a role, and there's times. That's why why do you think the secular world decided mothers and fathers together make better kids? Because the Bible says so. The secular world decided, hey, when there's a mother and father in the household, the kid does better. Hey, the Bible says that too. That's why you have a husband and a wife. That's why. What was the whole joke people used to say? It's Adam and Eve. Adam and Eve, and not Steve and Steve. Why'd you all take my name? I don't know. Right? Is that it? Adam and Eve, not Steve and Steve, or something like that. That was a big thing for years. But literally, that's what we're talking about. He goes, I don't want, gay people, homos can do the same thing. No, they can't, because I've already seen that many times where that home is just as broken as a secular family who's in sinning. So give me a break on that. You're never gonna find a perfect union of homosexuals that have great children. That's not really a thing. Some might escape it, but you know what? I don't want to go down that road. Let's try not to go in that direction. We're gonna get back to where we were, because we can go off on tangents down different avenues. But it's amazing how many times, and you guys know this, how many times the secular world steals, absolutely pilfers and steals things the Bible teaches anyways. I'll give Ray Comfort credit on something that he brought up, which he's absolutely true on. I know I'm going to defend Ray Comfort. I know I'm going to get in trouble for this. Wait a minute. But he had said, and I was watching one of his videos a long time ago, and he's right, because I had looked this up. Secular doctors somehow one day decided, hey, washing your hands before and after births is cuts down on germs and diseases. Well, yeah, that was always a thing in the ancient times too. That's what they did then. They washed their hands in the biblical times. So, and that's true. So I looked that up. I mean, that's what I'm saying. A lot of the secular world will steal ideas. Sometimes they don't even know they're stealing ideas from the Bible. They don't even get it, and they call it to themselves. Give me a break. Science is in the Bible. It's amazing how often this happens. But yeah, no, feminism, again, Your TV shows are pushing it. Remember the whole idea when Mary Tyler Moore? I might have mentioned this before. It was a big article, or she's known for the first woman on TV to wear pants. So I guess she wears the pants of the family. That's what we pushed. For equality, of course. And people are fooled by that, of what equality would actually mean in a biblical sense. Turn on the heater back there a little bit. I'm biased, of course. I have an amazing wife, and she's an amazing mother. But she's not in charge. Do we discuss things or have a conversation? Absolutely. And it does exist, whether you like it or not. And this is my problem. There are too many infiltrators. And I call them infiltrators now. I don't think I would have said this 10 years ago or 15 years ago. But there are more infiltrators in the King James world than anywhere else. Because frauds are already in the other areas. We know that. Non-denominationals and evangelicals and the ESV worlds and blah, 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 blah. But the greatest enemy of mainstream Christianity are the true men of God who walk the walk of the King James Bible and follow those words and don't take out the things that we already talked about in Westcott and Hort. And by the way, Brother Calvin, I haven't seen it. I haven't checked on your channel. But thank you. I saw that you were going to put a playlist in there of some of my videos. And I do appreciate that. You didn't have to, and thank you. That was very kind of you, and I'm very grateful for that. As I still have your comment up, I probably should just take that down. Well, I'm going to leave it there because it's true. Feminism has become And what is feminism? Definitions are an interesting thing because what is true wealth? I think wealth is what God has provided me or given me the ability to be involved in. That's wealth. I have love, not just of my wife and having a wonderful family, but I've God and I have the brethren. Now, yes, we need money and food to survive, but I think people, and I've been known to get caught up in it too, having the being sucked into the vortex of what wealth is supposed to be. I need I don't know, $1 million of gold, $1 million of silver. I'm like, wait a second. You need what God will provide you. Semmelweis was a doctor that tried to get other doctors to wash their hands to stop the spread of disease. He went crazy and later died in an asylum because people wouldn't listen. Okay, I don't remember his name at all. I believe you. I feel like I should be checking that out on the side over here. Find out who that guy is. But it was always a thing in ancient times. And then suddenly it's some sort of epiphany all of a sudden. But it had always been a thing. He died during World War II. That's interesting. Well, not here in World War II. Apparently he was in somewhere else, Austria, it looks like. But I don't know if that's the guy that Ray Comfort. And this is a video I saw a while back, so I don't know who he was talking about. I just remembered the gist of it, and which is correct. Everything we steal. And if you don't think Catholicism, Roman Catholicism of some sort is not involved in anything, look at the Big Bang Theory. Now, somebody saw it's called the Bang Theory, or no, the Big Bang. Now they call it the Big Bang. Is that true? I should look that up. Someone's saying it's no longer called the Big Bang Theory. It's the Big Bang. See how we slowly change things? I always talk about the small drip of poison and everything. You don't realize it until it's too late of anything, but that's where you're at with that. And was that not from a monk, a Catholic monk somewhere in a monastery that came up with the thought process? I'm just saying there's things of that nature, and I really want to get into it. And I know that there'll be less videos as the trucking business takes off. I'll probably be doing more trucking videos or videos like on the road once in a while. I know that I'll probably put out less material during the week. I will get to a Westcott horse stuff on. So, but that may that be that. I'll just put together things that'll come out. There'll be longer things of that nature of historical references of Roman Catholicism destroying everything. Um, they had their hands in the Civil War. They had their hands in the slave route. They had their hands in Vietnam. They had their hands in World War II with Nazis and the rat lines and all that. Wherever there's a problem going on, you see the Roman Catholic Church. Ignaz Semmelweis, he was the Hungarian Jew who knew from Scripture about the spread of disease. Well, there you go. So he knew the history of that. I just pulled him up, actually, so I was just looking at that. He's talking something about postpartum or something. I found my glasses, by the way. Side note there. I've only gotten 3 verses of Nick's version of Bible done, but I'll have to Facebook Emmett, let him know I did order the 1602 P. So somebody remind me to do that at some point. I don't know. I'm just looking at the stuff, family and early life, but I don't want to get too much into reading them. But yeah, I don't know what his background other than being a surgeon of some sort. Hungary, Joseph, let's see. Hungary, Austria, German. That's all I get out of that. But yeah, scriptures had science before science. Scriptures didn't come out of science. Science came out of scripture. At the end of the day, that's the creator of all science. Well, it's amazing how much we try to disprove things in this world. I always say the same thing. It's so sad when we can't just enjoy the mountains for what the mountains are. We have to analyze it. Where did it come from? Well, I'm going to tell you right now where it came from. God. But we need to know how it evolved that way. Why the strain of hickory breeds with another type of wood, and why we have knots in pine, and the etymology and the origins of that type of wood and growth. I'm like, I guess if you're a carpenter, okay. Why do we have dandelions? Why do we have daffodils? Why do we get delirious with needing to know these things? Yet we just can't accept the creation of God. We have to figure it out. And I think that's why people become atheists and they go crazy sometimes, because they just can't be. Why? It's the whole idea of the Big Bang Theory. Well, we had to come from something. God. No. I mean, if you look at how there was that explosion in space and the stars spread out, how they spread out? God. Oh, that's just so ignorant just to believe God did. I mean, there's got to be more to it. Yeah, God. God is the more to it. Faith is probably the most difficult word in the English dictionary for people to get their minds wrapped around. I have faith. It's from God. I got no issues. Got no problems. I can tell you right now, from my point of view, there's a part of 68 I come by from Sweetwater every Saturday. I'll go a back way going to Sweetwater, but I'll come down a main road, and I come down every time, so I just look at the mountains. But I never look at the mountains and say to myself, who made that? How did that evolve? How many millions of years did it take to form? Now I look at the mountains, I go, man, God is awesome. Look what he's given us. That's beautiful. But that's so hard. That's so difficult for people to do. We have such this great desire to have the answer. We have to know. We have to know. You will. You will. One day you will know. You will know. When you are finally there, when you are in his presence, you will know. But I have a feeling when you get there, you're not even really caring to know. If you're more, when you get there, because a lot of people, you know what I want to ask God? I don't want to ask God anything. I am. What are you going to ask God? What are you going to say? God, why did you make the mountains? Is that the biggest thing you got on your mind? You're in the presence of God, but I want to know why we have monkeys. I want to know why the Easter Islands exist. It stupefies me. It's bewildering how we're so needing this. We're so desiring such great knowledge. I'm not saying we can't learn some things or know some things, but when we are so overwhelmingly analyzing things and not even enjoying what we see in front of us, goes, oh, that's just ignorant to just sit there and just not even, how can you enjoy something you don't even know anything about? What are you talking about? That's insanity to me anyways. First John. Well, that's First Timothy. Well, I can't read it all. Sometimes in this light, I'm saying First John because Brother Calvin just put up First John. First John chapter 3 verse 2. Beloved, now are we the sons of God, and it doth not yet appear what we shall be. But we know that when he shall appear, we shall be like him, for we shall see him as he is. That's great scripture, actually. I don't think the first thing on our mind will be, why did you make mountains, God? Why do we have volcanoes? What's the time lapse of lava? I was gonna say frozen lava, of lava when it hardens. Can you carbon 14 date that? Do you enter the millions a year? All of these questions will be nothing. And I just don't think any of us are going to be asking that question. And I know that if you're going to damnation, eternal damnation, you certainly will not be asking about the mountains. If you are not in the presence of God, well, after judgment, when you're cast out into the lake of fire, when you are in, let's just use what we use today, common grammatical conversation, hell. People know there's no such physical as hell. I'm not about to debate hell, but I'm just saying the idea of hell, the place of hell. Yeah. If you're in eternal torment, are you going to be wondering about the mountains? I mean, I don't think you will be. Maybe you will be, but I just don't see that being a thing. Every day that you exist upon this earth, you have one more opportunity to do something great for God. I don't know what it may be in your neck of the woods, but every time you wake up, every day that arrives, I'm not always in the greatest mood every day. I complain about work. My wife says, you complain about work a lot. I said, not the greatest job in the world, but who of us doesn't complain about work? But I was saying to somebody today, you know what the greatest thing about Monday is? They looked at me like, what? You get to look forward to Friday. If we don't have rain, we have no idea how beautiful the sun is. If you don't have a bad day, you never know what a good day is. All these things exist. We're so focused. I don't stress it. I mean, you worry about things a little bit, but you don't overstressed where you don't need to be overstressed at. Whatever happens at my job, it's going to happen. Whatever the good Lord has provided for me, it'll happen. Just have faith. And by the way, giving it to God, having faith in God, does not mean you don't do anything. That's another thing. I might have talked about that before. How often people will just sit on the couch, the bonbon Christians. If you don't know what bonbons is, that was a big thing in the 80s. Women used to watch soap operas, eating bonbons. But my mother watched soap operas. But we're just sitting there going, God will take care of it. So you have nothing to do with nothing? Nope. God will take care of that. Well, you're a bonbon Calvinist. Perhaps you are a bonbon Calvinist. There's nothing I can do. I'm just going to sit here. God will predetermine what he's going to do for me without me doing a thing. I'm going to sit here in complete obliviousness, ignorance, laziness, and do nothing and let God do it all. I'll do nothing. Because I'm that important to God that I cannot do anything. I don't have to do anything. Because that's a work. Being a good Christian is a work. Yeah, okay. The Frozen Chosen. Oh. Frozen Chosen. The Bonbon Calvinist. That's what, just... You have something to do. I'm a Christian. I'm saved. I don't even have to go spread the gospel. What for? I don't have to spread the gospel. I've been already elected. I'm good. I'm solid. That's not what that means, Steve. Well, it's funny. They'll say that's not what it means, but it always comes back to that's what it means. They'll go into this whole circular logic thing. They'll keep on doing the circles and this dance and going around and around. Then maybe you take off your glasses. You take off your glasses and you stop and you say, are we not back where we started from? Well, no, not really. No, we are. We're back to you're lazy. Lazy. God's got it. God's in charge. Yes, he is. But this is where it goes off the lines. It's that they go into this whole thing of God's in charge, I'll do nothing. No, that's not it. No. Why don't you just go to the bar like you plan on doing? Go get drunk while you're at it too. Same idea. Whoa. Well, Calvinists don't believe in that type of free grace. So hold on. In a weird way, don't Calvinists and you would think Calvinists are free gracers and guys like that, in a weird way, some of them would get along pretty well because both of them have almost the same thing. Hey, don't worry about it. I'm already pre-elected, so I'm pre-selected. I'm good. I don't have to do anything. Oh, I got free grace. I believe in free grace. I don't have to do nothing. You don't have to do anything? Right. If I do anything, that's a work. So you're going to completely obliterate Scripture and just decide everything's a work. Therefore, that's your... Boy, if you think about it, it takes a lot of work mentally for them to get to that point. So how much work did they put in to get you to that point? And no Calvinist should write a book. No free gracer should write a book, right? Because that's work. Now you got to work. You're doing work. Well, I got to spread the message. Whoa. That's a work. That's a work. Well, I have to evangelize a bit. No, you don't. That's a work. See how they take work and just totally take it to a whole different level. So they're just going to sit around. I think lazy people would make good free gracers and Calvinists. The ones I've seen anyways. People will get mad at me, but I'll get pushed back on that. But the idea of free grace, yes, there's free grace, but this we have, and this is why people leave Christianity because of the hyper hypocrisy of just making mountains out of molehills. Just like these dramatic, extreme changes and things. Like, I believe I'm saved by faith, by grace, and because I'm saved, I never have to do anything for God. I never have to do anything that the Bible teaches me. None of it. Not a single bit of it. Because I'm saved. I have grace. Come again? I don't have to live by what the Bible says because I've been chosen ahead of time. I'm pre-selected. So I don't have to worry about it. I wonder if Steve Lawson still feels that way. Isn't that the guy who was a Calvinist who had sex with a woman for like 50 years or whatever? That was not his wife? Correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't Robert Morris kind of a free gracer? Wasn't he kind of like a Southern Baptist ESV, NKJV / KJV Southern Baptist who's a big on tithing and free grace? What was he? What was his downfall again? It wasn't his downfall. It was already something he did way before. Huh. Weird. Well, I'm sure he's fine. Because, according to these guys, they're saved. So no big deal. No big deal. These are the type of guys who make all of us regular, born-again, simple, Bible-believing Christians look bad. Because we don't believe that. We don't believe that. We believe there's consequences. We don't believe that you can do all these things. These get-out-of-jail-free cards. It's not a thing. What's that in Monopoly, right? You get that those little cards, get out of jail free card. You just get those out of the deck and like, hey, I have sinned. I had relations with another woman, but I have this get out of free jail card, and I'm going to use this now. Yikes. Think about that for a moment. And that's what frustrates me with the hyper idea of once again, born again once again, once saved, always saved. I believe in a form of once saved, always saved, but not the way you hear it these days. Why? Yeah, I believe I can do whatever I want because I'm saved. So I can have relations with other women. I can get drunk. I can do all of these things because I'm once saved, always saved, and that's my get out of jail free card. No, it is not your get out of free jail card. You're a liar or misled. I'm not going to call you a sinner because we're all sinners, but I'm like, no. Stop justifying your sins and taking something and completely twisting it. Hypocrites. Speaking of hypocrites, only politicians get those. Hypocrites. Well, let's face it. A lot of these preachers today that you see on there, the big guys there, and on the YouTube and everywhere else, and they're politicians. How many ministries do you watch online? Do you think they're pandering to their clientele, their crowd? It's a shame. And by the way, I think the ones who do that is because they rely on your money. They rely on your support. That's why preachers or pastors are online or not online. The reason they're in the situation as they are is because they can never be honest and truthful because then the money might go away. The money might go away. Yes, sir. What you just described is known as a social gospel. I'm not really. I've not heard the term before. I'm guessing it exists. Obviously, you've heard. You're telling me about it, but yeah, it's pretty. We're not really bad. It's even the little YouTubers out there are taking on the same idea of the of the big time YouTubers these days are the big time mega churches, and they got wares, they got merch, they got all things like that. They got all the merch in the world. They're always selling something. They tell you what you want to hear, and then they try to subliminally sell you things. They just try to subliminally put ads and things of that nature into their videos. And now someone has to go, hey, what was that you just had? Was that a book? Did you write a book? And now you go, oh, and then they'll do this. They go, oh, this book? Oh, yeah, it's just a silly book I wrote. It's nothing. I'm not even really selling it. Now people are going to want the book. I've watched these guys for years, man. I've watched these guys. Nothing new under the sun. It's the same old thing they've been doing forever. The same old thing. Repackaged? Sure. Maybe a little slicker? Sure. Maybe even look a little more old-fashioned? Sure. But it's still the same thing. It's still about them. It's still about their merch. It's still going to be about them at the end of the day. It's always about them. But Steven, aren't you a little bit narcissistic because you have a YouTube channel? So shouldn't you? Wouldn't you be considered that? Yeah, you probably say that. Yeah, I'm not selling any merch. Obviously, I'm being facetious and being silly by doing the old, the whole bit here with the book and everything like that. And I've said this before. You all email me, give me your address, I'll send it to you for free. I'm not trying to make money. You think I would be trying to make money? I'm not a very good businessman on selling these books, I can tell you that. Where we are in the world today. It's all about there's too many Christians out there who call themselves Christians, and it's about them. It's about them at the end of the day. Yeah, I'm talking about me. You guys are talking about you. We're talking about each other as brethren and what you've been doing, what's going on in your world, and we're talking amongst each other. But we're not out there trying to sell ourselves. I think selling yourself is probably the easiest thing in the world to do. Absolutely the easiest thing in the world. People say, no, it's hard to sell you. No, it's not. It is not hard to sell yourself. It is harder to not sell yourself. It's harder to have self-control, to be self-aware, that's for sure, to be able to be somewhere and not be sucked into the vortex of being fooled and believing that you should do this or you should do that. You can make a lot of money doing this. I know you're not into certain things and you're an old-fashioned ministry, but maybe you could sell this and maybe you could sell that and maybe you and they'll sound like good ideas. I'm like, I'm just gonna do a coffee mug, no big deal. Maybe like a hat. Maybe I'll do a hat. Maybe a t-shirt. I'll do a t-shirt. Now, what's a big deal? But you're promoting you. Yeah, when I put my little business card in the gospel tract bags, it's not because I want money from them. I'm not selling them anything. But when they come to my channel, they're going to learn something. And hopefully they come to the Friday Night Fellowship because they can learn from you all in the fellowship. Because you guys have, in my opinion, a lot more to offer to others than I do. And that's what we want. We want to bring them in to the fellowship. We want to be able to share things. We want to bring them things that they don't have. And maybe some do. Well, Steve, now you sound like a kumbaya moment. Perhaps it could be looked at that way. We are too self-involved. And I think all of us can do it. As I look at the back, it says this says man of God, right? So now the reason I have this up here, man of God, doesn't say everyday man of God. and it says it's First Timothy on the backside of this. But the reason I have this is because my sons, they were at a flea market up in Sevierville, and they saw it, and they were like, "Oh, Dad." You know, it's my 13-year-old and my 11-year-old. Well, they weren't 13 or 11 when they bought it. They were younger. They saw this and they thought it was cool, and so they bought that because of the name of the channel. So that's not promotion or self-promoting. That's just my boys did a wonderful thing, and so I put up there because to me it means a lot. Not because it has part of the channel, because it comes from my sons. That's why it's up there. That's why I keep it there. And we know why we have the globe back there. I'm just saying that goes back a while. What I find funny about merch, it's never something they made. It's made by someone else. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm not trying to be mean because my books or any books you make, right, they come from a different place. These books, I didn't run them off on a thing myself, but they are run off by a company that makes, non-Christian books. You know what I mean? If I had the ability to learn how to do these myself and run these little books, this one's a little one, obviously, I would do so. The other, because I don't know how to do it, but yeah, they're going to. I was on one person's channel, and you can go to a site, and it's called. Sorry, I'm plugging in my phone here. Zazzle. So it's connected to a company called Zazzle, where you can you enter it in, and then the T-shirt is kind of like books. They're made on demand. So once somebody makes the order, then that sweatshirt or hat or whatever gets made and then gets sent to the company. So, and then you'll see underneath the tag, it says made in China. So, and then that person you got it from was an anti-China person, but the hat was made in China. So, you get all of this silliness that happens. But yeah, and I'm not knocking the fact that something is made from another company, but it is funny how, you're paying that absorbent amount of money. And I'm thinking, so it's what, $30 for a hat? You get these hats. I don't know who has merch out there. I'm trying. Well, I know who does in a lot of different channels, but I'm trying to think of how much hats would cost. Hats. You know what would be a good place to look at Vistaprint? Aren't they like Vistaprint's like? Isn't that they're the big people who make all that type of? They can make anything under the sun. Let's do this for a second because, and the reason why I do this is because there's something I want to point out. Let's put it in hats. Let's see if they make hats. Apparently they make ats. Apparently there's no H in there. Hold on a second. Where's my H? H. Enter. They do make hats. All right. So hold on a second. Let's see. We'll click on just that hat. Let's see. Boy, I'll pick this one here. And by the way, I do get my business cards off of Vistaprint. So I will say that. It's not giving me a price. Hold on. I'm going to create this as we go. Add your logo. Okay, hold on. Let's upload a design. This is going to be fun. This is going to be exciting. But I found something you said here. I find hypocritical when people wear 1770. That's kind of funny. Think about it. I actually never really thought about that. It didn't. Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. Let me hit next on this. Let's see what happens next. Review your design. Okay, let's see. I have reviewed and approved my design. Continue. I'm hoping it's going to give me a price. Pretty cheap. One unit is $16.99. Not bad. Not bad. Not bad. Here, hold on a second here. Let me just had it. Hold on one second here. I'm gonna hit my share screen. Let me. I like to do it once in a while. I'll do the share screen. Your entire screen, yes. Not working. There it is. There you go. So there's my logo on a white hat. $17. I've seen them a lot more expensive. $17. But you know what would be even better than buying a hat with my logo? Obviously, that's not a real hat that I just made it just now. If anybody watches this goes, hey, you are selling merch. No, I'm just made a quick thing so you can see what it looks like. But so $17. You know, plus the shipping probably too. You know what's better than $17 in buying a hat that I would make? $17 worth of, I don't know, gospel tracts that you can get. How about $17 in gospel tracts? Put them in mailboxes, or, you know, hey, send me some gospel tracts. Brother David sent me these gospel tracts, which my sons are making another round of gospel bags tonight, I know. So we'll get some more out. We got 80 houses last week. Hopefully we'll get some more tomorrow or Sunday. We'll get back out this weekend. I've got to make sure because I have to check the weather. I forgot to look at the weather. Make sure it's not bad. I just saw that because that's funny too. That's just as bad as American flags made in Taiwan. Although I did see a commercial that there's a company in America that's actually making flags. So, you know, which is good. But hey, take that $17, that $20, buy some gospel tracts instead of buying some guy's hats. Why? If he was a working man or self-sufficient, he doesn't need your money to buy. Don't buy his hats. Don't buy the guy's hats or T-shirts or mugs. I know I'm going to get a lot of hate from people who are trying to sell their T-shirts and mugs. What about your books? You sell books. Yeah, I do. And as you guys well know, I do a poor job at selling my books because I don't advertise them. I don't do anything. I literally don't. They're up on Amazon and a Barnes & Noble somewhere on their website. And that's about it. I don't do anything with them. I probably should order some more and just hand them out. They're expensive, so it does cost money to make them. It cost me, I think, like $13 to make the King David one. Why is my King David one? I just had it a little while ago. So this one here cost me, I think, this one cost me $6. No, $5. This one cost $5 to make. So if I make this for $5 and then I just go hand it out. So, you know, instead of charging the 10, just hand it out to people. The other one I can't find, but I don't understand these modern patriots, Brother Calvin. Yeah. We're patriots by buying everything from other countries. We're very good patriots. We're very good patriots. Maybe that's what maybe Donald Trump's tariffs will slow the incoming amount of you know, you guys made me think of something. Remember these? I was telling you about. I bought these. I got a box full. I got to get another box full to get ready to get them in spring. Where are these made? I never looked. I have to be 100% honest with you. I didn't even look if they're even made here in America. They're probably made in China. Which, the irony there, your Dollar Tree Bibles, hold on one second. So these Bibles right here, these little King James Bibles, these New Testament, they're made, let's check it out. They're imported to the USA through Chesapeake. There you go, made in China. So think about that. This King James Bible, the irony here is China is against the King religion, right? Or Christians. So that's what, as we can see, that's a King James. You see the KJV right there, right? And now let's flip that around. I don't know if y'all can see that. I don't know how good my screen is going to be. Yeah, it's going to be terrible. Yeah, it's going to be terrible. Made in China, right? So think about that. This little King James Bible that you buy at the Dollar Tree. And listen, we should get King James Bibles in people's hands, but think about that. It's made in China. It's all about where they can make money. If they can make money off the King James, they'll make money off of that. They don't want you to have their people to have a King James, but they'll make him because they make it too expensive to make it here. Think about that. The government, our government, you know, our Christian government. Think about that for a moment. Our Christian government makes it more expensive to make a King James Bible in America. Even yes, someone saying England. Fine, then maybe England can make them. That's not going to happen. There are no English people in England. It's just Muslims. Okay, that's my little thing about Muslims. We have my wife has a sister. Well, she's my sister in Christ as well, but my wife has a sister in Christ over there in England. But Um, why would you? You know what I mean? Why can't we make them here? Should be able to make them cheaper here. Oh, because people cost more. Oh, so yeah, we get the King James Bible from China. These Dollar Tree Bibles made by sweatshops. Isn't that weird how this whole world works? That's why I'm not a big fan of protesting on either side these days. I'm like, what do you think you're protesting, and what difference do you think it makes? Look at all the protesting. I was going to say Protestants. Protesting has done throughout time. Nothing. It's done very little bit. Maybe it's changed a few lives, but I would love to see us. You don't see people just holding up King James Bible signs anymore. And I've said this before, when you have two sides going up against each other, chances are they're going to be in the same eternal damnation because they don't believe in God. I don't live my life for God, but I'm against abortion. Yeah, me too, but there's a good line in a movie, and it says, Satan, and my wife knows the line. Satan is not against good morals. He's just against the name of Jesus, or he's against Jesus. I'm paraphrasing. Can't remember the line. Basically, it's saying you can have all what you consider to be good morals, but if you're not living for God, if you're not living for Jesus, you're just dying at the end of the day. So consumed by these things about us. And that's what gets me a little more excited about being back out on the road, and God seems to be opening those doors. So the trucking business should be up and running. One truck, and then we'll go to the second and third, and I hope to hire some born-again Christian guys. But I get to also more chances to be on the road to talk to people, hand out more Bibles, more tracts. I'm looking forward to that. I won't be in an OTR. I'm not going to be over the road. Maybe once in a while, maybe briefly, but not really. I'll stick in a basic area. I'll be in South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, maybe Virginia. I don't know. We'll see. Well, how do we get down that road? We went because modern patriots, being George, it's a conundrum for sure. Yeah. Man. Modern patriots. It just reminds me of and again, I'm not against the idea of being and protecting a place where you live, but understand without God, it doesn't matter. We're just kicking the can, man. We're kicking the can down the road. It's always been that way. And really, we're not only are we kicking the can down the road, we're kicking the can down a dead end road. It's a dead end street. At the end of the day, it's a dead end street. Selling or distributing King James Bibles outside authorized state-sanctioned channels is restricted in China. Okay, I don't know anything about that one. You just got me there. Okay. I mean, we can print them in China, but we just can't hand them out in China. And I don't think any of these. I was briefly looking at that was a smaller one, but I used to have a little bit larger ones. I think I have a couple left from a while back. I don't know where I put them, but I was looking up a few verses and they matched the actual King James. Oh, excuse me. Wow. Oh, didn't mean to yawn. Well, now I'll be yawning a lot. My hours are going to be changing, so now my hours are going 1 hour earlier than it was into work. So I get out an hour earlier, but I'm going in an hour, which is fine because I have to retrain myself to get up even earlier, because if I'm going to be on the road driving, I want to be on the road earlier to get to, my stops and do well there, which will be nice because I can then have my boys take turns coming with me and get to spend that time with my boys growing up, and they can help me on the road. So that'd be fun too. So excited about that. But I'm not understanding the whole idea of selling or distributing. And they wouldn't, what authorized states, I don't think they want to sell it at all, do they? I don't think they want to sell the King James Bible at all in China. I'm pretty sure they don't. That's my guess. Is you're not allowed to sell. I mean, anywhere. I don't think there would be a state sanction. I don't think it would be sanctioned anywhere in their state in China. I just don't see that happening. Who was the Muslims that they were trying to kill? I can't remember. Supposedly they were killing Muslims over there. Oh, I can't think of what their names were. I can see the picture. Excuse me, I can see the picture in my head, but I can't see who they were. I'm gonna look. China selling. Let's go to KJV Bibles. KJV Bibles. Anybody can, print the KJV and revise it and all that kind of stuff. I just saw that it says AI overview. You know how you type it in? I think I'm using Google. Is this Google? Yeah, it's Google. I use DuckDuckGo usually, or Opera. China is the world's largest manufacturer of Bibles, including the King James Version, with Amity Printing Company. Oh, I see what you're saying too. It says here, while they print many King James Version Bibles for international distributors, strict regulations limit their sale within China to state. Hold on a second. I have a question. Let's look this up. What Bible versions are allowed to be sold in China? I'm just curious now. Are we going down, what do they call this, rabbit hole? Let's see. I wish I was making this up. Let's see, the 1919 Chinese Union version and the Studium Biblicum version, which is approved version of for Chinese Catholics. Now, oh boy. So do you think the Catholics are godly folks? I mean, China is okay with the Catholics. All right, hold on. Let's look. I'm gonna open up a different window here. Wait, the 19. Let's look up the 1919. What did I say? Chinese. Oh, let me go back to the other page now. I forgot. Chinese Union version. I have never heard of this. Now I must get one. I have to get one now. Chinese Union Bible. Oh my goodness, there's a Chinese Union version. There is one. Wow. Okay, guys, you can't make this up. You can't make this up. I did not know this. This is completely unplanned. Hold on, I just had it on here and I lost the screen. Hold on. Here we go. Hold on, guys. Ready? I'm gonna do the share screen. I'm gonna do the share screen again. So remember, modern versions are the most godly versions, right? They're the best. They're better than the King James. They're better. They're just better. Derived from the English Revised Version. Who is the English Revised Version? So the the 1919 Chinese Bible, Union Bible, for Protestants is from Westcott Hort. If you knew that, raise your hand. This adds more for me. And now I've got to add this. What do you guys think? Should I add this to my Westcott Hort videos? Because I think I should. You knew? You knew? Brother Calvin, you knew this? I didn't know this. I did not know the 1919 Chinese Bible for Protestants was from the ERV, which is the Westcott Hort. I am now going to add that to the Westcott Hort. I'm going to add the Chinese Bible for the Westcott Hort videos. I mean, man, I wish I would have looked into this before and found this. Wow. Good evening, Brother Steve and everyone. Good to see my brothers here. Jorge, Calvin, and others just got off of Nick's channel. Yeah, I know. I was on there for a little bit. I couldn't stay long. Obviously, by the time I got on there, it was hey, I did not know this. I had no idea. Wow. I'm going to add it into my Westcott Hort videos. I can tell you that. We just figured this out tonight because we're just talking. It's amazing how we can be looking at one thing and then go down a road to a whole nother thing. And I was, I shouldn't be surprised, but yet I am, because we're talking about how a lot of the King James Bibles are made in China. A lot of them, they're high producers of it. And I did not know that the Chinese one. I know a lot of different other versions are from that. But boy, I tell you what. See, you talk a lot about the Urdu. I've heard you speak a lot about that. I keep on wanting to look at that. I just keep on never getting around to it. So I will eventually. Brave is another good browser. I don't know who Brave is. My son had suggested this Opera one time. He said, "Hey, Dad, use Opera. It's really good." So I'm like, all right. So because I was using DuckDuckGo, and then he suggested Opera. So right at the moment, I use Opera. But yeah, I did not. Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. So trying to frame my words and get around the influence of Westcott Hort, I think, is so much more massively destructive, the Westcott Hort, even than I give them credit for. I give them credit for such a destruction of the Bible, yet they're more destructive than I really thought about. And it gives you pause, obviously, but it makes you realize to a higher level of how dangerous they were. And I've already spoken this before in other podcasts that I've done over the time, that the Roman Catholicism was huge way back in China. They were a very big thing. They were part of their slave ship building in Japan and that whole area. That they were huge. But I think I'm going to add the 1919 Chinese Bible there. I'm going to add that. I'm going to add that. So when we come across a lot of Protestants who read these ESVs and so forth, and it's like, oh, I hate China. Do you? I don't like the Vatican. Well, hold on now. You read a Vatican approved Bible and a Chinese, a communist approved Bible. So I don't know. Are you anti-China? I think sometimes we talk about King James PR. People have to have more of a defense. I'm like, I almost feel like simplistic things like that should be enough to tell people, like, well, I don't know. I think you're a communist, and I think you're a Roman Catholic. No, I'm not. Yeah, you are. You read the Bible. Sometimes you just got to throw the ball in their court every once in a while, I guess. Yep, exactly. Catholics are everywhere pushing their ecumenism. Yeah, it is mind-boggling. Oh, can y'all answer me a question here? I thought there was a debate tonight. Did I get the wrong day? Because I tuned in after the fact, and I forgot there was a debate, and I thought it was supposed to be tonight, and I was like, I think there's a debate over there on Nick's channel. But I'm gonna add the 1919. I'm still my mind is wrapped around that for a second. I was unaware of that, and how I missed it, I don't know. I don't know how. Oh, brother Emmett, I did before you remind me. I was telling these guys. I told these guys to remind me to let you know that I did finally order the 1602p. I finally ordered it, so that should be here in a few days. And I got your message on not Instagram, on Facebook. I didn't have the messenger downloaded, so I apologize for that. I didn't realize that when I went into it. And I was like, "Where did he text me?" And I went to Facebook and then I looked at that, and I see that there's messages, but I can't access them. And I thought automatically with Facebook, that's automatically a thing that's already downloaded, and it wasn't. So I apologize to you, sir. But I did see the 2 pictures of the Spanish Bible there. Bible Protector canceled and wants more time. Okay, so it was tonight. I'm like, wait a minute, was it tonight? Was it not tonight? I'm like, maybe I'm off on that one. I would have been late for it anyways, I think, because I didn't tune into your channel till very much later. I was busy, unfortunately, but I was busy doing some other things. So I didn't know. So, okay, so I didn't miss it. So yeah, that's good. Needs more time. I wonder if anybody's debated on having debates. Okay, that was trying to be humorous on that. I did get 3 of your verses done. I'm in Matthew verse 3. So I'm working my way through that. Not that I'm anybody, but I'm working on that. See if I can get through that at some point. But and I think speaking of which, the different versions, I'm hoping to get back up to that bookstore before they close and grab their German and their was it German or German Bible or Russian Bibles, a Russian KJV Bible. So I hope that's there. It was more expensive than I want to pay for something. It was like $50 or something like that, and I thought that was a lot of money, but I was like, and I skipped over it because I ended up getting that Westcott book, which I was excited about. When I picked up that Westcott book up there at the bookstore, not that I like Westcott, but yeah, all foreign Bibles are adopting the critical text now. Well, I like to look at things in my arguments are usually pretty simplistic when I talk to people. I like to sometimes take the Columbo approach. And if anybody remembers the TV show Columbo, it was kind of, he leaves things off in a way of like, one more question I have, and then he walks away, and then they realize, oh, wait a second. It makes them think he knows something. So sometimes instead of arguing with people, you just leave them with something. You leave them with that thing. You just like, hey, did you know that such and such? Did you know that the Chinese Bible was from the Westcott and Hort? The ESV. Maybe that's nothing, and then you walk away. It makes one wonder. Go, what do you mean? What do you mean it's ESV? What do you mean it's not the ESV? It is, because the ESV is from the ERV. So if Westcott is in charge of the that, so just to follow that genealogy, I lack a better phrasing, that lineage of how that goes. So again, I'm going to put these Chinese Bibles up, and I'm going to say, hey, listen, if you're for the modern Bibles, then you're pro-China. And how many people are going to say, I'm not pro-China, but are you? I don't know. You read their state-approved Bible. Yeah, the reason all or most foreign language Bibles match the WH is because they prioritize older Alexandria type MSS and EG Codex A and B, which are more accurate according to scholars. Give me a break. Yeah, that's the other thing about these. That was one of the things I found interesting. When we talk about Tischendorf, and we talk about, or folks do talk about Tischendorf and Westcott and Hort, I think there are names that are left out. And I think about this 20th edition here. They call it the 20th century New Testament, which this is a 1905 version, I think. 1904 version. And I don't know if it says in it here, but if you look it up online, who wrote it or who's part of it, they supposedly used the Westcott and Hort. And it says here, a translation to modern English made from the original Greek. We all get a chuckle when we hear it. Original Greek Westcott and Hort's text by a company of about 20 scholars representing the various sections of the Christian church. And to me, that should be a red flag if I was to highlight something. The various sections of the Christian church. We use that vagary. The Christian, everybody's a Christian. Joel Osteen's a Christian. Rick Warren's a Christian. Oprah Winfrey's a Christian. Joe Biden's a Christian. Donald Trump's a Christian. Everybody's a Christian. We've taken this word and kind of made it almost a dirty word. It's almost if somebody calls me a Christian, it's almost like I feel like it should be a curse word. Oh, you're a Christian. No, I'm a Bible believing Christian. Maybe I'm a sola scriptura Christian. I'm a King James onlyist, although that could be a curse word too. So for some people, they call you that, it's like they're swearing at you. I'm one to be more apt to be enjoy that because I think sometimes outcasts possibly make better Christians. Is that probably not the best way to say that? I probably could have used better verbiage to say that, but for me, I was never one to toe the line, so to speak. I've never been one to just go with the flow. Brother Jorge's known me for a bit now, and one of the things I used to say all the time is like, people say, don't rock the boat. And I'm thinking to myself, now let's flip that boat over. And that's not always a great thing because overzealousness, having too much zeal in a situation is not a good thing. But to question all things and never to follow, what everybody else is doing, just because everybody else is doing, we should just get on board. Well, this is the norm. I don't know if that's the right kind of norm. So I think I hate to use the word critical in this particular conversation because we're talking about critical text. I'm critical of a lot of things and origins. Once I understand something or something piques my interest, I follow that breadcrumb. And when I did that, and I'm later to the game to a lot of you all are. I think I've done about 10 years worth of research in 1 year because it's just the way my brain works. And I just go down that path. But breadcrumbs in this particular situation always lead back to the same spot. And just because someone says, well, we have a new modern Bible based on the original text. And I keep on trying to find that original text, i.e. the original autographs of which are not in existence. And people say, oh, that's how unreliable it is. But people who are at a higher intellectual level than I am or ever can be, will also understand that a lot of things throughout time have been passed down things as well. I mean, you go to a lot of different cultures in history, and things are not all had always been written down. It was more of a verbal. I would say you'd have to start writing things down. We're talking 3,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago. I said 3,000 there. It gets passed down and talked about. So when you look at that, because the language, whether it be the alphabet, the Phoenician alphabet, or anything like that, it has an origin. Something of which my wife and I started a long time ago. We're having a great time talking about it because of languages and spread, when the history of different countries, and they all seem to be around the same exact starting point, which leads obviously to a young Earth, and so backs that theory up that we haven't been here for a million billion years. Did I just skip one? No, I was just on that one. I think the title Christian in Acts 11:26 was meant to be a derogatory term, but rather adopted by believers. I'm completely sure, but remember studying this years ago. Yeah, I'll go ahead and second that. I keep on saying when I get the that little stand where I can open my Bible up faster and quicker. You know me, I try not to use the internet too much. I do. I try once in a while. I will. But and I think just like Anabaptist was a derogatory term. A lot of things become a derogatory term. You know, those people. You know, it's a label to put on someone so they stand out, so you can identify them. And now, yeah, I believe we've adopted that so we can identify one another when we don't need a label to identify each other. 11:26, where it says, "And when he had found him, he brought him unto Antioch. And it came to pass that a whole year they assembled themselves with the church and taught much people. And the disciples were called Christians first in Antioch." They didn't call themselves; they were called Christians, followers. Those followers, those guys, those Christians there to follow that cult leader. What's his name? Jesus or whoever he was. That guy. They're a bunch of cult members. Those Christians. I mean, I'm agreeing with you here. I think that's all that terminology. So, but now a lot of cult people are Christians. That's the kind of funny thing. Well, I shouldn't say they are, but they are cults that are calling themselves that and taking on that moniker, and they are cult-like people. Whether it be Waco, Texas, or the Mormons, or there's a lot. What was that? There was a Chinese cult in down in South Texas or something like that. There are a lot of these. I think Heaven's Gate were Christians. Were they not Christians too? I think. I'm not 100% sure. But I'm gonna read this because I've run into this. A Bible-believing, born-again Christian won't claim to be Catholic, but Catholics do consider themselves to be Christian, and this confused identity and muddies the waters what a Christian is, right? Because we go back to the Greek word and things of that nature, and I think that's I think that is true. So I've run into that a couple of times. I try not to get too crazy with that idea when they say Catholics, and that's why I always say Roman Catholics, because Roman Catholics is the universal universal. We're all Christians. Well, hold on a second now. Calm down. We don't all have the universal same belief. I believe in the words of God. You believe the words of God plus a bunch of other stuff that other people said that you had to believe, and then you start to rely on more of those other things instead of the word of God that you have in front of you. That's where I'm at with that. We tend to rely on commentaries more than anything, which I don't even know if I have any more commentaries. I might have had some Vernon McGee commentaries at one point. Boy, I don't have any. I have more Bible versions than anything else. I don't have. Yeah, I don't even think I have any commentaries. Well, I have Philo and Josephus, if that counts. Oh, Brother Emmett, what was the name? You said a name on Nick's channel, a guy named Lawrence, and you liked his books. Wait, did you say, hold on. Did you say The Way? Oh, I don't have it. I thought I had The Way. I have Reach Way. There used to be a Bible in the 70s called The Way. I'm pretty sure there's a Bible called The Way. My older brother, and I'm old now. My older brother had that Bible, The Way. I think that's the one that has the swear word in it. I think that's the one that has foul language in it. I'm pretty sure that is the one that has foul language. But there was a Lawrence. You said there's a Lawrence something that wrote about King James or something like that. And if I'm wrong, Emmett, I apologize. I really was certain it was you that mentioned him. A gentleman named Lawrence, and if it's Lawrence Vance, then I actually have a book by him, and I didn't even realize I was reading a book by him, which is kind of funny. I will get into Mormon's book, not the Book of Mormons. Jack Mormon, is it in the house? I'm not sure. I thought it was, yeah, that book might be in the house. I'll get to that. But yeah, Christians. It's just it. I'm not sure when the terminology Bible believing born again Christian became a new phraseology, but I know that I tend to use it. I do also say I'm a King James onlyist because I kind of like the controversy it brings because, as some of you know, I have I have a distinction of being that, and before all of the controversy, before I shouldn't say before the controversy, before I knew that there was, excuse me, was a controversy of the King James only world. So I'm grateful and thankful to actually be a King James onlyist before I understood that there was a big thing behind it. So um, I was definitely not I was not influenced by anyone. I'm not saying that it's not you're a bad person or it's a bad to be influenced by some King James onlyist people or, of any kind, but I feel blessed not to. It just gives me a better. I'm able to come at it from a different angle. So when people say, "Oh, you a Baptist and you grew up Baptist and a King James person," and no, I didn't. You know, in fact, you can get to become a King James onlyist because you read King James onlyist people. But I came to the King James onlyist point of view before any of those other people. Speaking of muddied water, Catholics now use the term born again. I'm going to say something about that in a second, but do not use it in the same context as us. By born again, they mean being baptized as an infant or the sacrament of baptism. And then you just keep confessing your sins. So I had a conversation with my father one time, and I obviously highly disagree with my father on this. He believes there are born again Catholics that are basically spies in the Catholic Church, and they're there. And I said, "Are they there to bring them out?" He goes, "No. Born again Catholics are born again, but they can stay in the Catholic Church being born again as long as they're born." And I was confused by that whole thought process. He himself is not Catholic. I mean, obviously, being in his 80s, he grew up a Catholic up in New England, and then it didn't become a Catholic. And I've talked about my dad before. He got saved in a Baptist church, but then went on to become a Pentecostal in the Assemblies of God. And I could talk about conversion. Yeah, Lawrence. So Lawrence M. Vance. I'm going to type him in for a second because I believe I am reading a book from him, and I didn't even know who he was, or I don't even know who this guy is. But I come across a book. It intrigued me, so I decided to buy it a while back, and I've been reading it. So let me just pull this up, see if it's the same guy. It is the same guy. Yeah. So the book I am currently reading from him is King James, his Bible, and its translators. I had seen that, picked that Bible up at one point. Finally getting around to reading it. I bought it probably, I don't know, 3 years ago, maybe a few years ago. I've been in Tennessee for 3 years now. I think I'm going on 3 years living in Tennessee. And I bought this when I lived in either Massachusetts and Connecticut. I'm pretty sure I bought it when I was in Connecticut. Yeah, I bought it when I was in Connecticut. So I've had it for about 3 years, and I've just finally got around to getting it. Like I said, I have a lot of books that I wish I had more time to get into. I'm trying, but yeah, so I've been working on that. To them being born again, it is not a one-time conversion, but rather a sacramental act initiating a lifelong journey of work. Yeah, it's mental is what it is. It's rather mental because it's not the. Sorry, didn't mean to insert I'm in front of. Oh, I didn't even catch that. Wow, boy, I'm very oblivious, much like a Roman Catholic. I didn't even catch it. I didn't even see that. I didn't even see the I'm in front of that. Sorry. To them, So again, works. Everything's a work, and then people will accuse you of being a good Christian means you're doing works yourself. So yeah. So I'm working on that book from him, and I don't know what I'll read after that, but I don't know. I don't know if you guys have. I read the 500-year leap, and I can't remember a lot of that 500-year leap. Eventually, I'll take my Geneva Bible out and work on that. So I'm always telling you is okay. Well, I gathered he was, but was not 100% sure. But it seemed as if he was. His literary style or the way he's approaching it and speaking or writing, it would appear that he is pro, but you never know sometimes. So I came across this in some books. I didn't even know I had this. Maybe I remember having it and don't remember. So I have this Latin to English Collins book. So I was going through some old stuff, but one of these books, I'm trying to figure out who the author is, and I couldn't figure it out. It's from 1860, but I don't know who, because I tried to type in an author. Maybe y'all can help me. So I have this book. It's from the Carter's Cabinet Library, and it's Follow Jesus by the author of Come to Jesus, It Is I, etc. And as you can see, it's 18. I don't know if you can see it or not. Well, hold on. 1860. Where it's from. And I just wrecked the cover here, and I couldn't find this. It's actually got a note inside of it. And I can't read it. It's to no, I can read it. To Miss Margaret Stewart. I'll have to look for this person. From her friend and pastor, Bobby March 11th, March 1, 1860. So someone gave this young lady this book in 1860. Wow, that's 160 years ago, isn't it? Boy, time flies, huh? And I tell you, I don't know who wrote it. That's my only problem. It's called Follow Jesus. When I had tried to look it up previously, I could not find the answers. So if y'all know this book, you let me know. I'm always trying to figure out these things. And I'm going to actually sneeze again. I've been sneezing all night for so long. I'm going to mute the... Yeah, unmute the button. You have that book? Yeah. Oh, yeah, I have that book. Yeah, the Bible Translator book. Yeah, it's tough because when I'm reading things, I got like 10, 12, 15, 18 things I keep diving into, so I never am focused on one book. I would love to just sit down and just focus on that one book and just, barrel through that. But sometimes I can't. I get sidetracked, and I'm thinking of something like now I can't remember the name, but in that book he was mentioning someone's name. Like, oh wait a minute, I know that name. And then I was looking at the name. Then I went to my notes to find the name, and then I forgot all about going back to reading the book, and so I get sidetracked on many things. I feel like one day I'm gonna feel bad for my kids. I feel like one day I'll be like one of them hoarders that has all my notes and these books all piled all over the place, and it'll be on some weird show that they're trying to clean out the place. But so far, anyways, it's a good book. I have enjoyed it. I definitely have enjoyed it immensely. But I want to go back to that Chinese Bible. I'm going to put that in the. I really think I will put that in the Westcott and Hort videos. I think I'm going to add that in. I think I'm definitely going to add that in. I think that's pretty important. The China Christian Council, whoever that is. Let's look at that. They're supposedly a Protestant, and they are part of the World Council of Churches. The World Community of Reformed Churches goes back to what Brother Calvin said earlier. I just saw it. Where's the word? A Christian ecumenical body. Yeah. Wow. Wow, I can't wait. Yeah, I'm definitely. I'm gonna write this down before I forget. I'm gonna add that to the Westcott Hort videos. I think that'll be exciting. Or I might save that for my Westcott Hort Catholic Bible videos that I want to do. So I might add that then. So 1919 Chinese. It's not Chinese Bible. It's called something else. Chinese something. Union, I think. Chinese Union version. I like that. We're not even going to call it Bible. We'll call it a version. I like calling King James a Bible and these other ones a version. But that's going to be interesting text. So I think that'll be added to my arguments in my discussions with folks about the ESV and so forth. And so that means I would have to assume it's a logical conclusion. Westhoff, David Wallace, all these guys, James White, they're all communists, right? I mean, the Chinese government agrees with them, so therefore they're communists, right? Can't we make that leap? Why not? I mean, they make those leaps on their side. Why can't we? I sent 3 pages to your Facebook page on how the Purificata is better than the Gomez. Yeah, no, I don't know if you heard me earlier. I ordered it. I got to be honest, I ordered it today because I just remembered today to order it. But I did order it. Should be here in a few days. I did see you said 3 pages. I thought I saw 2, and I was looking at them briefly. I didn't read them all the way through because I had to install the app. I didn't realize the Messenger isn't automatic when you're on Facebook. I didn't realize I had to download it. So I do have the Facebook Messenger now downloaded, so I'm able to send or read text or whatever. Thank you at Embryo. I've watched a couple of vids with him in them and had no idea who he was. One was about archaic words in the King James featuring Mark Word. I'll be looking into more of his work now. Oh, you sent something to Calvin, Brother Calvin. I'm sorry. You must be talking to him because I don't know what he's referring to. So that must be something you were talking about earlier. Or unless you're talking about that Lawrence Vance guy. I don't know. I don't know anything. I'll have to look him, like I said, look him up. But let's see. I want to look at something real quick. Association World Council of Churches would be Catholic churches and alliances. Man, what an ecumenical world we live in today, whether it be the Charlie Kirks or the Candace Owens and the Erica Kirks and of this world, and the Stephen Crowders and the Matt Walshes. I'm trying to think of popular people there. And now you got Joe Rogan going into that world, into that realm, and it's getting rather wild. Yeah, so this is the one. This is the one I have. Well, apparently I can't pull it up. It's not letting me pull it up. I don't know why it's not letting me pull it up, but that's the one that I have, and obviously Brother Emmett has as well. If I see his other stuff, wow, he's got really older stuff. 1991. I'm going to look for his name when I'm at the bookstore now. I'll have to take a look around to see if I find his name and find anything from him that's cheaper than ordering his books, because I don't want to spend too much money. There you go. It's on Amazon. So yeah, apparently you can buy his book on Amazon. And what? Guys, brothers, I did not pay $71 for this book. I got this at a thrift store. I get 90% of my books at thrift stores. This can't be accurate. $71? No way. It says 172 pages. I thought it was longer than that. I don't know if that's accurate, guys. I have no idea, because $72. That's the KJV store. Let's go here. $21. What in the world? All right. Wait. Oh, I see the difference. The other one says essays. I think the other one said essays on it. A collection of essays, King James and its translators. Maybe that's the difference. I don't know. All right. Let me get out of there before I get sidetracked on that too. But yeah. Wow. Well, I'm glad I didn't go crazy and that there was a debate this evening, and I wasn't completely off because when I saw the that he was on, I didn't for some reason Nick didn't come up on my my alert on my phone because you know how when you some of y'all know you get a notification on your phone that one of whoever you subscribe to shows up. I never got anything on from Nick's channel, so I'll have to let Nick know that that not all of us get notifications for some odd reason. Usually I do. I usually get an alert, but today I didn't get even an alert that he was on. I didn't know he was on until I came onto my computer out here to the podcast shed. The pod shed is what I like to call it. When I came out here is when I turned on the computer and I saw he was on because I'll flip on YouTube and I'll go check sometimes I'll put something on my watch list that I'll finally get around to watching and put on the YouTube. And then I was getting ready for other stuff and saw he had a program on, so and I missed quite a lot of it. Obviously, no big deal, I guess. Bill Fortenberry wrote a book entitled "False Friends and True Enemies," subtitled "Countering Mark Ward's Attack on the Authorized Version." I think I should make a short or a video asking Mark Ward why he's a communist because he reads the same Bible as the communist Chinese do. Would that create a problem? Would I be stooping too low to their level by calling him a communist because he must be a communist because he reads a Chinese a communist what's the word I'm looking for, an approved Bible by the communist regime. So therefore, stands to reason, that he is he's a communist. 5 reasons why Mark Ward's a communist. Isn't that like the popular thing to do? Like 5 reasons why Wes Huff, 5 reasons not to listen to King James only. 5 reasons why King James only are crazy or things like that. Well, 5 reasons Mark Ward is a Catholic and a communist, But then they go, oh, look, see, the King James people are haters. That they have such hatred in their heart. What's good for the goose, right? What's good for the goose. But I'm sure people like him will cry because that's what they know how to do. Just cry. And stop picking on me. What's that old saying? And I'm probably paraphrasing it. Racist always calls somebody else a racist. I want to say Saul Alinsky came up with that whole philosophy in the late 60s, early 70s, but I could be wrong. But that's where you get to. People always accuse other people of things that they're involved in. That's not always, but but you get the gist of what I'm saying. Like when someone is doing a crime or in the middle of some sort of sin, they will go after people in that sin when they themselves are doing it. I think it's always amazing how that turns out. I'm always amazed. I'm always amazed. Oh boy. Hopefully we'll get some. By the way, I'm going to check the temperature right now for tomorrow because hopefully tomorrow we're going to get out tomorrow. I'm hoping in the weather. I'm going to look it up real fast, and I can't find any weather. It just gives me everything but the weather. Okay, I guess the weather's not important tomorrow. I'll tell you, the boys had a great time last week. It is fun going out with my boys. We have a good time. We fool around. Oh, it's going to be 72 tomorrow. Are you kidding me? 72. It's about time down here in Tennessee, 72 degrees. Sorry, brother Jorge. I apologize for being excited about 72. I know that you're a little bit away from that 72 weather. Of course, Calvin and brother Emmett here, they're further than I am, so their weather is a lot better than mine. That's for sure. Actually, I called Ward a true enemy on one of Nick's streams over a year ago and never knew about this book or its author. Huh. There you go. See? It was so obvious he was. And I honestly don't remember the first time I came across him. It was one of his shorts. He did a short. I think it's probably one of those 5 reasons I'm not a King James only type of thing, because I find them humorous when I watch them. They're so goofy. They're so silly and just stupid and dumb. Then it would follow that everybody in America that uses the modern version is also a communist. Hey, not bad. So that's why we're taking a step further. We take a step further and say, hey, just ask the simple question, are you pro-communist or anti-communist? And when they say, well, of course I'm anti-communist, then you can ask them, why do you read the ESV? So do you agree with the communist Chinese who also agree with the ESV Bible as the state-sanctioned Bible? Are you okay with that? Because that's the Bible they choose. I love it. Brother Evan, I think that's what we do. We take that step further. I mean, they like to take these wild jumps, so why not? I mean, hey, it stands to reason. I guess it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that Ward is an enemy of the gospel after all. Yeah, he's a is that word? Is that a swear word? I don't think that's a swear word. Nimrod? I think you use that word. We'll use it for that. Then followed by Marvin as communist. Yep. There you go. See? Wait, how many times are you typing it over and over again so we get that point? Oh, by the way, Trump came to Corpus Christi today. Oh, did he? What's he doing now in Corpus Christi? What's going on down there that he had to show up for? Is there any protests? Oh, wait. Wasn't there a drone or something shot down in Texas yesterday or something like that? Something of that nature. I don't know what it was. I think I saw something briefly on that. I know Pete Hegseth. I think. By the way, I think isn't Pete Hedges? Can't get his name right. Is he? He's either an evangelical or a Roman Catholic. I can't remember. Now I think that's kind of important to know. But Pete. Wow, the internet's just not working for me today. There you go. Hegseth. And again, you might not find this important, but I think it says a lot. And as a Republican, I know that. We get that. No, he's been married 3 times. I didn't know that, but why would I know that? I don't know. I don't follow this guy's life that much, but see, I thought he was Roman Catholic, but I might be completely wrong on that. He might be just, just a regular ecumenical evangelical guy. So I had a guy walk in today, actually. The reason I'm talking about this is a trucker came in today, and he's not excited about Trump at all, and he's a Republican. He's one of them camo wearing, camouflage hat, mossy oak type of guys. You know what I mean? Just a redneck kind of guy. And I don't mean that in a negative terminology at all. But he's not happy because of the fact that this administration is allowing the whole Big Brother, they want to put more cameras in. Pete Hegseth or whatever his name is, supposedly, and I haven't looked into this, it wants more cameras and more surveillance in this country. I mean, I'm not surprised. I mean, the government is always like this. But I was trying to find out, looking at Pete Hegseth, what he was. But why does that comment keep appearing? That's not me. What comment? That comment? I don't know. I thought you might have accidentally hit it over and over again on mistake. Hegseth is a member of Communion of Reformed Evangelical Churches. Okay. I'm not aware of them. I get the gist of what they probably are. Let's pull this down. Let's pull this over. Let's look it up. I wonder if it'll come up on just the 4 letters. Ha! It does. It comes right up on those 4. No, okay. Reform, Presbyterian. Let's see, Bulgaria, Reformed Baptist, Continental Reform, Presbyterian Reformed Theology, Westminster Confession of Faith. Hey, Westminster Confession of Faith, isn't that guy Keith Foskey, the Calvinist guy, Keith Foskey? Isn't he? Don't they? I think his church uses the Westminster Confession of Faith. I could be wrong, but I thought he did. I'm trying to. I was looking for something else, but it's not what I was looking for. I'm curious what their complete views are. I mean, but they disguise themselves in a lot of ways. Like I said, the first director of the CIA, William J. Donovan, was a CIA. Well, comes from the OSS side of things. Became CIA director basically, and very staunch Roman Catholic. And your current CIA director also is a staunch Roman Catholic guy. Roman Catholicism is in this country, whether we like it or not, or want to admit it or not. You have, and I've mentioned this before, Jefferson Davis is a Roman Catholic. Alexander H. Stevens, his vice president, was a Roman Catholic. Most of his board is Roman Catholics or Episcopals. Hegseth is a member of the Pilgrim Hill Reform. That's interesting how they put Pilgrim in Tennessee. Is that where he's from? Is Tennessee? I didn't even know he's from Tennessee. I just remember him because he was a talk show host on the Fox or the Fox News or the Fox 5 or something. I remember him being over there. I actually remember watching Fox back in the old days when Glenn Beck came over from CNN and came over to Fox. I remember that. I remember hearing of a guy named George Soros, right? Because I was a guy way back then. I was into conspiracies and all that kind of things, and I was into a lot of research on different things. And I always make the joke that I knew that the Clintons were involved with the walnut trade in Russia. People thought I was nuts. But anyways, and I remember him mentioning George Soros once, and I'm like, and my ears popped up. I'm like, wait, I know that name. Why is he talking about George Soros? That's not a good guy. And so, yeah. Anyways, I don't know why I mentioned that, but let's see. The Pilgrim Hill Reformed Fellowship, Tennessee. There you go. Not many of them. Where is this located? Well, Tennessee. We at Pilgrim Oaks of Righteousness. Okay. I don't know where it is. Wonder where it's located. Let's see. Confession. I'm not going to look at that right now. Give. Hey, let's see if they use Tithely. Brother Jorge, I'm going to look up if they use Tithely to donate to their thing. I don't see anything. Contact, it says. Well, they got pictures of pilgrims. A lot of Dutch mills and pilgrims. And all right, where is this place? It's not giving me the location, though. Monterey, Tennessee. I think that's in northern Tennessee. If I'm not mistaken, that's up in Is that Overton? No, Scotts County, Campbell County, Overton County. Let's look it up on a map. Apparently, Google Map doesn't work. Oh, there's a church, but I didn't want it that close. Let's pull back a little bit here. Yeah, it's northern Tennessee. It's about 40. Oh, that's not actually that far away from me. What kind? It's like 2 hours, maybe? No. Can't be that far. I wish Brother Christopher was here. He could tell me how far that is. It's up it's not that far from Livingston either. That's a cheap area. So it's off 40 up in that area. Okay. Huh. Never heard of it. But there you go. So there's some information I never thought I would know tonight. Where Pete Hegseth. Anyways, so apparently, according to this gentleman, he was talking about Pete Hegseth and everything like that, about how there's a deadline of some sort because he wants mass surveillance in this country, he wants more cameras and this and that, which I think is very dangerous because they sell it as a good thing. They sell it as like, oh, it's kind of like the chip in your dog, and then it leads to a chip in your baby, and it's like, oh, don't you love your baby? Which is bizarre to me. I remember when my son was born, and they kept on asking me for my ID every time I came in to see my own son because I would leave, I would come back, and I'm like, dude, I just left like an hour ago to the store to get something to eat, and I come back, and you guys want my ID? I'm like, that's insane. I'm like, but you don't have to show voter ID to vote. I thought that was crazy. But then there was these ideas of the at this hospital they wanted to put these barcode things. There was these barcodes on the baby's not the wrist, but the bracelet that went around it. But they wanted to put barcode on it so that way they could scan the barcode. And I'm like, that's crazy. I'm like, I don't want that on there. But unfortunately, they did it anyways. A man once asked, how can a Protestant be a Roman Catholic and a Roman Catholic be a Protestant? His Jesuit superior answered, just as Paul became a Jew to gain the Jews, we must do the same. Huh. I've never heard that before. Became a Jew to gain the Jews. I don't remember him being a Jew to get the Jews. I don't think that's how that worked. A man once asked, how can a Protestant be a Roman Catholic? Yeah, they infiltrated. Just like I will say that there are people who are infiltrating the King James onlyist world too. I'm firmly convinced of this. You know, you can call me crazy. It won't be the first time somebody's called me anything, but I'm telling you, I think there is massive infiltration in the King James world. I do. And it's not just the guys who go, hey, I think the King James is the word of God. I'll tell you what, King James is the best Bible out there. It's an amazing book. It's amazing. First of all, when they say book, I think, yeah. But, yeah, absolutely. I love the King James. I mean, it has a few errors. I mean, nothing major. There's just these couple of things that are wrong. You know, I'm like, yeah, see. And I know you've all heard this before. You know, you guys have heard this before. I'm like, it's just all these little backhand things. I still, and I'm sorry, but what's his name? Nick Green? Not Nick Green. I'm sorry. I just combined Nick with Dwayne Green. Dwayne Green. Nope. Sorry. Nope. I'll die on that hill. Nope. Something's up. And that's before I even seen him on Nick's channel. The first time I heard that guy, I was like, nope. Something ain't right. what's that old saying? Something smells. What's it? Something's rotten or something smells rotten in Denmark. I forget how the actual thing goes. All right, First Corinthians chapter 9, verses, what was it? 20 and 22. And unto the Jews I became as a Jew, that I might become a Jew, as a Jew. Verbiage makes matters. To them that are under the law, as under the law, that I might gain them that are under the law. To them that are without law, as without law, being not without law to God, but under the law of Christ, that I might gain them that are without law. To the weak became I as gain the weak. I made all things to all men, that I might by all means save some. And this I do for the gospel's sake, that I might be partaker there of you. But I think being one and being as one, maybe I'm splitting hairs, but I find that to be a little different. But to me, yeah, I was just reading today. My wife and I we read every day, and I was, where are we? We are in, and this brings me to what we were just reading today. Oh my goodness, where are we? Are we in Acts? I think we're in Acts. I think we're in Acts. Pretty sure we're in Acts 21. Oh, what was I don't have my other Bible. So I have a different King James Bible that I read from when I'm reading with my wife. And then I have this King James Bible over here. I'm all over the map. Maybe it was 19. There was something and I couldn't, it just reminded me, now that reminded me of that, but I don't know what it was. Oh, man. Was it Acts 19? Well, if she's watching, my darling wife, if you happen to be watching this live stream this evening in the background, could you tell me what chapter we just read? Oh, I thought it was Acts 19. Could have been Acts 18. No, it wasn't 18. I think it was 19. Or it could have been 20. Oh, man. Now I can't remember. There was a particular, when you just read this verse, remind me of something that people twist all the time. Or make things, people twist scriptures all the time. But now, divers, let's see. I think there was it might have been about prophesying or tongues. Oh, and when Paul had laid his hands upon them, the Holy Ghost came on them, and they spake with tongues and prophesied. And they said, "Oh, look, tongues! Look, tongues!" There's another one that was one that struck. And baptism, water baptism to non-water baptism, and things of that nature. But yeah, that's a better way of saying what I'm trying. Yeah, that's a better way of saying it. Paul never meant to be dishonest and pretend to be someone you're not. Thank you. That would be against God. People always take things out of context to justify the position. Amen. Absolutely. I'm glad you said it that way. I was trying to figure out the best way to say it, and I know I wasn't saying using the best context of words, so thank you for that. Yeah, it wasn't he was being a Jew to fake being a Jew, but being as. And again, sometimes you can look at it from a intellectual scholarly point of view and breaking down verbs and nouns and pronouns. No, not those types of pronouns. Nouns and verbs following this and that. But I honestly sometimes believe that the Holy Spirit tells you kind of what it means. It doesn't mean what you think it means or what you're being taught. I think the Spirit does that. That's my personal opinion. No, I don't believe in I'm not what you would consider a full-blown would be a continuation or of that nature. I don't believe in tongues of the kind that charismania is involved in, or Pentecostalism. I think now is all Pentecostalism just called charismatic now? I mean, I know there were charismatic Pentecostals. So I remember learning this from my dad. There was Pentecostals, and then it became the different types of Pentecostals. I know there's the Holiness Pentecostals, but then there became, in the same church that I had gone to years later, they were still the Assemblies of God, but then there were charismatic Pentecostals. It's like they threw the charismatic in there. Maybe that's because of the whole thing down in Florida, down Not Lakeland. Was it Lakeland? It was the Brown revival. No, that can't be it either. I'm trying to think of the one that Steve Green came over. I think his name is Steve Green, or is that a Christian singer? From England and stuff like that. But the Brown revival, I keep thinking Brown revival. Am I wrong? Down in Florida, Pensacola, Florida. Was it Pensacola, Florida? I might be all over the map here, but something like that. But yeah, those were the false tongues. Those were not the divers' tongues. I don't believe that for one moment. So yeah, I'm not all is what it was. The Jesuit superior quoted the verse wrong, yes, and twisted as to make it seem normal to become something one isn't in order to deceive. That's the entire Jesuit order. Isn't Islam the same thing? Aren't they allowed to lie if it means to get people to do the right thing or something? Or something like that. I think Islam says you're allowed to lie. Muslims say you can lie. I mean, it's obviously Jesuits are the same way. The Catholics, the Roman Catholics, Jesuits there, you can lie. The ends justify the means, basically. I would have almost missed that. Hello, brothers. It is a good night. Indeed, it is. And it might be better for you for some reason. And I'm glad to know that you're having a good night. Amen. That's awesome. I don't know what's going on in your world right now, but if you're having a good night, that's a good thing. Amen. Yes, they are. So the Muslims, yeah. So they are allowed to. I thought they were. I mean, again, the ends justify the means, right? So it doesn't matter how you get somebody, you know. It's like I don't know. I got people to my church. I wasn't really honest with them, but I got them in my church. Well, under false pretenses. I'm like, you know, we can all do that. I'm like, you lie about something, then yeah, you get them in there. It's amazing how that is, right? So this happened to me the other day, and I was almost let me read this. Talmudic Judaism, it's getting late. Roman Catholicism and Islam all teach that you can lie. So the other day, my team leader, or whatever you want to call him, supervisor above me, texts me because we're on a group text at work. We're, in our department, we have a group text. Now that group text is a lot smaller since they've cut like 50% of the staff. But he asked me how a particular guy was doing on the clamp truck. Now, this is a clamp truck. It's a regular square clamp truck. And that's the first time I've driven one. I've operated a roll clamp truck. Some may know that. It's basically for large printing press rolls of paper that go on machines. I have experience from years ago. I used to drive one of those. But anyways, it was a clamp truck which clamps what they call bales, not hay bales, but bales of different types of paper, what we call hardwood or softwood, and you pick them up and stack them in 4 onto pallets, and then move those pallets with a forklift to another area. But anyways, so he asked me how he was doing, and I wish he wouldn't ask me, because I can't make something up and I can't lie. You know, somebody else might have said, he's doing awful or he's doing great, and lie. I'm like, man, why are you asking me? And I know why he's asking me, because he knows my beliefs and he knows I won't lie. He knows I can't lie. He knows I just won't do it. And I'm like, man, it's one of those situations like, oh, man, I got to be honest about this. So I told him, I remember starting out something like, nobody's perfect. I was trying to put it in a way that I'm not really lying. I'm just, nobody's perfect. So I don't want to. And then he kept on going on, and he says, is he getting any better? And I'm like, no, I can't lie. I hate having to tell the truth about the guy. Well, I don't want to say I hate telling the truth. I don't want to, now I don't, he's a false Christian, I think. I'm not sure, but well, I'm going to move on. I've got reservations on that. I hope he gets a little bit right around the road that he's supposed to be on. But anyways, So he asked me and says, no, I don't think he's getting any better. I'm not seeing it. I don't think he is. And, did he make any mistakes? Did he drop anything? And I'm like, oh, man, why do you have to ask me specific questions? I know we're talking about this because born again, you're a born again Bible believing Christian, right? So you can't lie. You can't. So I told him no. I'm sorry. No, he's not doing any better in my opinion. Yes, he is dropping things. Looks like he's having issues. He releases the bales too soon. Is not completely aware of his surroundings, because you're asking me these questions. So unfortunately in life, I don't know if unfortunate is the word to use, but sometimes as a born again Christian, it can be tough at times, because you have to be honest. When people ask you something, you got to be honest. You can't lie about it. And I know that sometimes it's going to hurt people's feelings, but I don't know. I can't think of a reason that you can justify lying. I know that I think we've all thought that we could justify being a little off, but sometimes you just can't. You just can't. Muslims call it taqiyya. Some Muslims deny that to be used to promote their religion and only applies to when your life is on the line. Most Muslims use it to justify lying. They're liars. Straight up liars anyways. Their whole, why are they, to me, it's like they can lie. Why can they lie? Because their whole religion's a lie. In my opinion, it's a lie. I'm not saying in my opinion, like Roman Catholicism and the Vatican and the Pope. It's all based on a lie. So therefore, if your whole identity and religion is based on a lie, are you really a liar? You come from a lie. So I guess it's not a lie since you're based on a lie. maybe that's how they look at it. Like, hey, we're based on a lie anyway, so what's the big deal? They justify it. And let's not throw just Muslims on the bus. Can we be honest that there are Christians out there who call themselves Christians who will lie, and they will justify lying? Well, it was this or that. No. In our hearts, we all are. I said in my haste, all men are liars. People lie. Sometimes we can accidentally lie and realize after the fact, I'm like, in your brain, you will sometimes say, well, was that really a lie? I mean, I didn't really lie. And then you justify the absence of complete truth in something you may have said, therefore, lying in Islam is allowed to reconcile during war and between spouses. I did not hear about the reconcile with war part, but I have heard somewhere. I have heard about the spouse part. I don't know where I heard that. I honestly can't remember where I've heard that before. There's a guy that I watched a few of his videos before, years ago. Not David Wood, not that guy. I've heard of David Wood, but not him. I watched like two things from him, I think, probably. It's an older guy. Older gentleman. He's always in Hyde Park over in England. He did some good job on Muslims and Islam. I can't remember the guy's name. I haven't seen him in years. I can't remember him. I can't remember the guy's name. God forbid, yea, let God be true, but every man a liar, as it is written, that thou mightest be justified in thy sayings and mightest overcome when thou art judged. Romans 3:4. Nice. Good job. Good one. Not opinion. That's the truth. I agree. Maybe I should stop saying, in my opinion. Yeah, that is true. Absolutely 100% true. Amen. There are other conditions also. Well, yeah, I'm sure. But again, if you're based on a lie, then you can lie. Everything's justifiable. If your religion is a lie and it's based on a lie from the devil, therefore, is it really lying? Because you're just telling the truth, which is a lie. So everything you say is based on a lie because it is a lie. It's just a lie. It's a straight lie from the beginning to the end. Now I'm going to be bothered by that guy. Oh my goodness, there's an older guy that does. Oh, I can't. Well, somebody comes up with it. I'll remember that. I never read this guy's book. That's the guy that was. I remember that. That was it. Is that 80s or 90s? I'm pretty sure that might have been 90s, but could have been 80s. And they were trying to kill him and everything like that. And I was always going to get around to getting that book and reading it. And I never did get around to it. I never did go to find it. It's another one of those things that I've always been curious about. So I wonder if he's dead by now. 88. So 80s. I was close. 80s, 90s. I was right in the area. 88. Wasn't there an 88 Oldsmobile? Oldsmobile 88? 88 Oldsmobile? Pretty sure there's a car at 88 Oldsmobile. I don't know why I'm thinking that. 88 was I remember the Dodgers were in the World Series in 1988. Now it's going to bother me. Is it 88 Oldsmobile? Who was the guy? I'm still trying to figure out who the guy was that I'm talking about that did a lot of work. Now I'm gonna look up an old. Is it an Olds 88? It's got to be an Olds 88. I'm gonna look it up. But yeah, boy, the guy did a good job. He might have talked about. I may have learned from him maps, the cartographer's maps that Mecca didn't even exist. Was it through him I learned it? Well, after the fact. And then I started doing some digging. And I like to find, once I get at one piece of something, I then follow that in a lot of different directions. And when I was doing back research, I found it to be the fact. Oldsmobile 88. It is a thing. Okay. There's different versions. The second generation, 54 to 56. That's the one I was thinking of. All right. Rushdie is still alive. Oh, really? Despite being stabbed several times in 2022. Did not know that at all. I never heard that he was stabbed. Same people. Kind of like that other guy that got stabbed. What's that guy? Macron? Not Macron. Macron is president of France there. What's that guy that came? Manny Matra? The guy got stabbed. Some YouTube guy, Eastern Orthodox guy, who I think is fraudulent. Oh, what is the guy's name? Some guy in the church, his church came and stabbed him or something like that. Wow. Salman Rushdie just put out a book. Well, I didn't even know the guy was still alive. I did not know he was alive. Why would I know he was alive? I don't follow the guy, so why would I know? Huh. So anyways. Mari? No, that can't be it. Mary? Martry? He's basically a Catholic. Man. Yeah, a Muslim rushed the stage and stabbed him multiple times, once in the eye, which he lost. Yeah, I'm looking at a picture of him here, and he's got one eye on his glasses. It looks like he's got half his glasses as sunglasses. What Roman Catholics are to Christians, so are peaceful Muslims to Islam. They're not true Muslims, just like Roman Catholics aren't true Christians. I don't mean to laugh, but you think about the Crusades and stuff like that, and they're like, "Oh, remember the Christian Crusades?" Hold on. When you say Christian Crusades, who are you talking about? Because I know who you should be talking about. That's the Roman Catholic Church. That's them. That's not like it wasn't the Albanian. I can't say the name. It wasn't, the local Christians up in the mountain that were going on. They were getting killed too in the Crusades. But I'm like, who are you considering? Magical. Okay, I don't know what that means. What is magical realism? All right, I'm not even gonna get into that. Yeah, I was just looking this guy up because I didn't know he was alive. It's been so long. I thought he was just old back then and was dead. Satanic verses. I'm not looking. I'm trying to find anything where he got. Oh, the failed assassination attempt in 1989. Hezbollah. Okay, I'm not gonna. All right, I gotta go away from that. Go away from that. Yeah, what was that? What was the saying that they would say is not all Muslims are terrorists, but all terrorists are Muslims, or something like that. I remember hearing that a lot. But we have to be careful of any of that. I'm like, oh, are you a Christian? And you go, it depends on what you mean by Christian. Am I the Christian as in Rick Warren Christian or Joel Osteen Christian? Or, no, I'm not. No, I'm not that Christian. If you mean Christian, am I a born again, Bible believing, biblical Christian? Yes. Yes. I am not a commentary Christian. I am not an outside the Bible Christian, so if that makes any sense. Yeah, I'll tell you what. I'll tell you. Drives me absolutely bananas. I'm like, no, I'm not that. And it's. I'm thinking about this here. It reminds me of another thing. We talk about assemblies and congregations and not forsaking the fellowship of others and things of that nature. Right now, I'm not forsaking the fellowship of others because right here we are, the assembly. We're not assembling as in a physical location, so I would consider this, not forsaking the assembly of others, but we mean this to be a couple different things. I'm like, do not go to church building because they're all satanic and they're all blah blah blah. Well, don't stay outside of church, any kind of church gatherings. So we conflate things. There's such strife and there's such division. Don't go to church buildings because if you're a true Christian, you won't go to church building. If you're a true Christian, you will be in a church building. It's like, guys, you're so focused on one thing. It's so sad. Anytime I'm anywhere and I think I'm with a born again Christian, I'm going to spend a few minutes. I am fellowshipping. I am assembling. I am talking to that person. I think we are pigeonholing. Maybe that's not the right phrase. We are making some sort of qualifying conditions on what constitutes fellowship or assembly. This means it, but this doesn't mean it. This can qualify, that can't qualify, and that is from the devil. It's become a sad day indeed when we have to qualify what we mean when asked, "Are you a Christian?" I know. Because they have this thought process of, or they'll even ask, what kind of Christian are you? What do you mean? I mean, what kind of Christian I am? I'm a Bible Christian. I'm a born again Christian. I'm a Bible Christian. I'm this. Well, what denomination? I am no denomination. What religion? Not a religion. Not you're getting that confused. I'm a biblical. Yeah, but I know you're a Bible believing Christian, but like what religion? Nope. And I think that's the thing that people get. They there's a place that you have to be. And I've now learned that being on two sides of the spectrum, growing up in the church building, and then being on the outside and associating or talking with or being with a lot of anti-church building people. And I still, maybe I've talked about it in a video before, but I always feel like I need to make one. It's like, I think both sides have more, the anti-church buildings and the pro-church buildings, people have a lot more in common than they even really think that they do. They're not, and yet there's this great divide between the two, but they follow the same things, just under a different packaging, it just looks different. It's still driving the same car, just a different model. They're still doing the same things, but they're not, if you're watching, let's say you're watching some guy who claims to have a church online, right? Some do have a church online. Some claim to have a church online, whatever. So you're watching them. They have a setup for you to donate to them and their ministry. They have a gathering. They have all these things going on, a fellowship. Donate to them. They need money. They don't work. They only preach. And then that reminds me of, what about the church building with the guy who you donate and pay him, and all he does is preach, doesn't have a job, doesn't work. I'm not arguing right now whether he should or shouldn't. I'm just pointing out something. And you require tithing or love offerings or non-taxable donations, whatever. And how are you different? It's just your location. One of you's online, one of you ain't. See, it's just one little simple analogy, but there's such a great divide in two things, and there's such a strife, and I do agree that there's a great hypocrisy in 98% of your church buildings. Absolutely agree. Absolutely. But I've now seen a lot of these YouTube guys out there, and I'm seeing a great deal of hypocrisy there too. So you also have that in common. You also have hypocrisy in common. So what do we do there? So one is saying, oh, they're sinners and they're anti-Bible, and then they're saying they're anti-Bible, and I'm like, but you guys sometimes will believe in identical things in the Bible, but your argument becomes location. Location shouldn't be the argument. It's what's going on in the location that should be the discussion. The Bible tells us not to have fellowship with a heretic. There we go. So instead of the conversation being about location, the fact that someone's a heretic should be. When someone is online or offline, and because I've spent a great deal being involved in the online in the last few years, of watching that and seeing that play out, and really, I hate to throw an ology word in there, but sociology, and seeing it, I'm like, wait a minute, you're doing the same thing. And then I'll see heretics within. And there is a young man, and I'm not going to throw him out there. I'm not going to put his name out there, even though I know somebody's saying, no, we have to call out everybody's name. Maybe another time. But are you not a heretic when you worship little gods and have superheroes and follow all of that while holding a King James and saying that's the infallible word? It's the word of God. And I am a born-again Christian. I follow the Bible to a T, but yet I have worship these little gods in my room. Are you not a heretic? But then that person who I would think it should be considered a heretic is calling other people heretics. We are throwing out these words, heretics, like nothing. And the word heretic should mean something. But the problem is we call anybody a heretic if they're not following what we want them to believe. Instead of, do they follow what this says? And just for fun, I'm going to say that's my opinion. Sorry, Brother Emmett. I just want to throw that in my opinion because joke, because earlier I said it in my opinion. But that's a problem. And those who are judging, which we should righteously, are angered by judging or judgment of themselves, which is the same thing you see in a lot of places. So I'm not against anyone who doesn't want to go to a church building, but I'm not against everybody who's in a church building. But see, a lot of times you have this side against this side, And both y'all will be King James, right? King James, Word of God, but yet somehow you base everything on location. It's not real estate when they say location, location, location. The ultimate location is what you should be concerned about. The only reason I go to a church is to help them to discern and bring them to the truth. At times I feel like it's me against all. I've had some run-ins. I'm with you. The church I attend now is now using the KJV. It took months. Yeah, I think I have a couple of problems with the church I was just going to. It says 1611, but I don't know. There's good, solid people, and my downfall. I don't want to say downfall. My problem may be is I at times can be too critical. Like it has to be someplace has to be just too perfect, but that's not a thing. And I think that's why a lot of people leave the church because they're like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. But then there are other things that they're going to fall for on the other side. So it's really an interesting situation. Do I trust the man who is against everything and everyone if they don't follow him on the online? Or am I against the man over here who feels the exact same way? Yeah. And that's sometimes you get into that. And I believe that there are some good, solid churches out there. And the one we were just dating, one of the things my wife doesn't like about them is they don't sing as a church. They just only the people up on stage stage sing for whatever reason. I'm against the chapels that are 501c3 and those which compromise on the Bible for their own beliefs. I would meet in a chapel if there was a good one around me. And I'm glad you said that because to me that I feel that takes a lot of courage because people go beyond the 501c3. They won't even meet if it's a building because church buildings is not in the Bible. And I'm like, okay, you're getting hung up on this whole building idea. Right now, if you want to really break it down to such a technical level, right now, all of us are meeting in a building. You're just in your house, which is a building, but we're on the online right now. We're on fellowship. Yeah, you can get that nitpicky about it. Absolutely, 100%. If you have a house church, I don't think you should have a house church. Why? It's in a building. A building is indeed. But I'm glad you pointed out 501c3 because that also is important. You're unequally yoked with the government. I'm using that in that context, but yeah, I absolutely agree. But the problem is the sin that I see in men who are not in church buildings, not because they're not in a church building, is because they've got a whole bunch of array of sin going on themselves, hypocrisy. But they're anti-church building because they're hypocrisy. And that's what is weird to me when I see these two sides. I'm like, you guys are wanting the same things and you guys are hypocrites on the same things. You have to be in church. Oh, no, there's no such thing as a church building. But you have a house church, which is a building. You know, all of these things. I mean, I believe that there are ones out there. I came across one, but they're in South Dakota. I think it's South Dakota. I came across a YouTube channel, and they were anti-Christmas and everything like that, and they're talking about how it's unbiblical, it's paganist, and stuff like that. It's a house church, and they're not 501c3. They're against the church being involved with the government and so on and so forth. And I agree with a lot of what this gentleman was saying, but they were a house church basically, and which is fine by me. I'm all for house churches. I'm more so a house church advocate than anything else. But is a house a building? I mean, it's not 501c3. So the idea, then somebody wants to get, well, King James changed the word church, and now we get down, that would get off the main point. But it doesn't matter. Y'all can come here to my shed. It's what? I think this shed is like 10 by 20. It's a 10 by 20 shed. So what's that? 300 square feet, whatever. It's a pod shed. I call it the pod shed. It's a building. If we met in here, are we terrible people? We're not in a house, and we're not in a building, but we're in a structure. Let's get off the whole idea of location and more worry about, is it truth being taught in that location, in my opinion. And your label is legalistic. I echo the same sentiments Brian Bishop, Bryson D. Bishop just stated. Must be getting late. I'm stumbling. Yeah, it is 3.5 hours in almost. The church could meet in a barn if they so want to. I just said, yeah. The question is, what worked for biblical Christianity and what doesn't work? Mm-hmm. There were lost people going to these temples for lewd reasons. And I'm not disagreeing with you at all on that. But let me ask you this. Do you think as Christians we should be involved in worldly things, or in the Avengers, or Superman and Spider-Man, and trying to think of ones, Batman, what is it? Trying to think of all the superheroes that exist. Flash Gordon. Anyways, that type of stuff. I can't think of all the names. I believe if Christians get a chapel, then they should make sure that the folks there are really Christians and not, yeah. Also, if there be heretics, then kick them out of church. So, yeah, by the way, I'm agreeing with that. So, I believe when you bring someone to salvation, right? Let me rephrase that, because somebody's like, you can't bring them. Sometimes my turn, again, we'll throw anybody under the bus if they say something slightly incorrectly that they didn't mean to say. When we are somewhere, right? Walmart. There's a Walmart up the road, like 8 miles or 10 miles or 10 minutes or whatever up the road from us. Let's say I'm witnessing to a guy there, and I am absolutely blessed to be in a position where he's now in the Bible. He comes to the Lord. At that point, I think I invite him. But why would I invite someone there to my location? You wouldn't have them in your house, right? You wouldn't have, you're okay with some of these buildings having atrocious people in, right? But you wouldn't invite that person in your house. You'd be weary, right? I think that person you bring, you help lead to the water, so to speak, lack of better wording, and then you would have them. You would talk with them for a while. You'd communicate for a while, and then you would have them in your church, your house worship, your fellowship, however you want to look at it. Yeah, the Bible tells us not to let your left hand know what thy left hand doeth, but then they sign an envelope with the amount of it. But I don't know. Do you guys remember when I went to a church one time? They were no longer going to just pass out those trays and tell you and the money in there because they don't want people put people on the spot. So they put the envelopes on your way out the door. You can sign in there and if you write a check is even better because then you can write it off on your taxes. Which is wow. I didn't even finish reading what you're saying. With an amount of their tithe and claim tax, yeah. I wish I would have just read the rest of what you just said before I made a comment. But yeah, at the end of the year, I've never understood that. If you want to have a little box in the back of your church, that makes more sense to, throw a couple bucks in there or whatever. Nobody knows what you're throwing in there, whatever. Or you throw an envelope, put it in there, but you're going to put your name on it and all that kind of stuff. And it's just weird to me. Then comes the whole doctrine about tithing. Yeah, don't get me started on that one. You have no idea how many times I've heard what Emmett is doing or has done is impossible, but I know better. God bless what you're doing, Brother Amarillo. Yeah, I don't know what he's doing. Thanks, Brother Calvin. It reminds me of rocking back and forth. That's why, by the way, I'm not a big fan of the street preaching with cameras on you all the time. I'm not a fan of that. Not the street preaching part. I'm all for street preaching. The whole idea of, hey, look what I'm doing out there. You know, look this, look at that, look at. I'm like, that's kind of how I feel about the street preaching idea. Again, videoing your street preaching. I just don't understand that. I don't get it. I don't get that philosophy. I'm like, hey, look, you guys and I talk about the fact that my sons and I, because I get excited about it because having my 13-year-old, 11-year-old out there putting gospel tracks is awesome. I guess maybe I'm the wrong kind of proud. I don't know, but as a dad, I just love the fact that they're so into doing it. But you won't see me videoing us doing it. You won't see that happening. That's not something we'll ever be doing. But yeah, that reminds you of that. So, would we do? Can we be godly or claim to be godly, but then still be involved in all the things the world will do, all the worldly things will do? Down here in the South, as you well know, a couple of y'all are from the South, football is a huge thing down here. College football is just the thing. It is the yeah. Everybody follows college football down here. More obviously so than the NFL or anything else. And I'm always amazed when you see these God-fearing men at the tailgate. What are you doing? I don't get it. I just don't get it. They used to send me tax exempt forms at least 4 times a year sometimes. But I've never had any. Of course, I've never written a check in any church in history. Every church I've ever gone to, I've just thrown a few dollars in the. It used to be they would pass along the thing there, but then they used to do the envelope system in the back of the church, and then one had an actual place where you just put money in, and I've done that. Anything I've ever done, anything I ever do is cash. So, yes, where is it? Like bragging about fasting. Look at me, everybody. Right. I just did a video about fasting, not about fasting, about the word fast. The word fast. Fasting is missing from 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 5, I think. Which I'm for fasting. But yeah, disheveled look, mess up your hair. Look at me, I'm fasting. I'm struggling, and fasting is tough. I'm not saying it's not, but yeah, it reminds me of the rocking back and forth and the stories on their head. I'm paraphrasing. Just to be seen in their long robes. Look at me. Look what I did. Look how awesome I am. Man. I was going to say something else. Now I forgot what it was. Sorry. I blanked out for a moment. But I think we're focusing sometimes on the wrong things. And I think one of those wrong things is location more than what is happening in the location. That's my opinion. That's how I see it. if people would just get out of their stubbornness of not wanting something or being against something so much, there might be more unity than one may think. Not unity as in a coexist, but unity. I leave over things. I leave over Easter things. I leave over Christmas things from a church. I'm also against the pagan architecture they use. If I make a chapel, then it will look like the synagogues of Israel during Jesus Christ's time. If I made something, it wouldn't look like anything. It would be unassuming. It would draw no attention. I just don't believe we need to be drawing. We're not supposed to draw attention. And like I said, if it's in my shed, it's in a shed, and it looks like a shed, and it doesn't look like anything else because it's not the building. It's not the design that's holy. It's the holiness. So, I think we're to be known, but now my words are missing because I can't. It's getting late, so now my brain is my thoughts are not working now. My brain is starting to shut down. I'm 3.5 hours in. I still got to get up tomorrow morning early, so I apologize for that. But yeah, I think I'm gonna bring it to a close because I'm getting tired, guys. I'm not Nick, although I might have to start earlier in the future if things work out the way I'm hoping that it works out. Then I might roll back from 8 to 7. So I know some will make it, some won't. It is what it is. I'm sorry. But yeah, if the door's open to all that, then things will change a little bit on my scheduling because I'm already feeling it right now. So, but with that, thank you, everybody. I appreciate everything. And again, I apologize, Emmett. I didn't see that, and I didn't have it downloaded. The messenger part of it, I didn't realize it wasn't downloaded already. So I didn't not ignore it or anything like that or avoid it. I just totally didn't have it downloaded. So, all right, with that, guys, I appreciate y'all, brothers. I appreciate it. I appreciate every bit of it. I think we are always learning here. I learn new things. I hope you all learn from something new from each other. It's awesome when they can come together and do that. And I'm oh man. Okay, hold on a second. So this guy, part of me wants to make a video on this guy, but I try not to really. I don't think that's my lane of things to do or call these guys out. But this guy is Tim Wildsmith. I see these things and I'm like, and I got a few of his videos on my watch list, and I'm gonna go after that stuff because there's some. He's a wicked dude. He's a wicked dude. He is a wicked dude. And yeah, I don't know what to say other than that. He's a wicked dude under a guise of something there, and he's yeah, there's something evil about that, bro. That's yeah. Boy, you set me off on that one. As soon as I saw that name, yeah, that guy's wicked. Yeah, sorry. Yes. Good night. God bless and Godspeed to you as well. Thank you for being here tonight for fellowship. I appreciate it. I'm thankful for you guys being here. Sorry, I got sidetracked when I saw Tim Wildsmith or whatever his name is. Yeah, that just, man, that guy. I don't know. Okay, so I don't know what is about him, but something about him bothers me more than Mark Ward and Wes Huff. Something about Tim Wildsmith. There's something evil about this dude, and sometimes you don't want to give him too much time because it just gives them, the platforms or whatever. But who am I? But anyways, all right. Now I'm saying I'll follow up with sentiments of Brother Calvin. Good night. God bless and Godspeed all. And thank you, everyone. I appreciate everybody, and I appreciate what I learned from you guys along the way. I'm thankful for all of that. And with that, I'm going to awkwardly hit the end stream button. Good night, and I'll talk to you next time I talk to you. All right. See you around.